One Piece Blades of Fire Chapter 381-400. Chapter 381. Absolute Conjecture. Che, it's obvious that he was too stupid to be killed. What does it have to do with me, Deidara looked unhappy, although it was indeed because he stood by and caused Feijuan's death, but in the end it was that guy who was stupid and stupid. Weak, Deidara thought to comfort herself. Isn't Feijuan our companion? Heiju's voice was hoarse and low, and the speed of his speech was very slow. It was easy to think that he was an old man who was not good at speech. In fact, he had lived long enough. How about the others? Deidara asked. Ju's position in the Akatsuki organization is really difficult to define. His ninjutsu is not suitable for catching tailed beasts or attacking others. He is better at assisting and reconnaissance. Most of the time, he spends most of his time monitoring whether members of Akatsuki do anything against the organization, so now he never appears by Deidara's side. He is very awkward. I can deal with him alone, you should go and help elsewhere. No, compared to others, your side is more difficult, Hei said without hesitation. In fact, Kurohue has been lurking around the Akatsuki members since the collapse of the building of the Five Shadow Talks, to observe their battles, from Orochimaru and Five Shadows, Scorpion and Kei's Cage guard Konkuro, Tamari, Oni Shark and Mizukage guards Chenjuro and Ao, Kakato and Tsuchikage guard the red and black soils. Obito and Hokage guard Kakashi and Matekai, as well as Zhang Yang, Deidara and Hidan here. Even if the Shadow Guards were two people, they couldn't compete with the members of Akatsuki in a single state. On the other hand, Lin Xiaoyu specially explained that he should keep an eye on Xianyang. He is not an easy character to deal with. Sure enough, from the battle just now, I found out that Zhang Yang is not simple. He uses illusion to solve Feijuan, and uses Lei Dun to restrain Deidara. He knows Feijuan and Deidara's abilities very well, and he may have 5 middle schools. Attribute chakra, it seems that cannot be taken lightly. Hey, what's more tricky on my side? Don't interfere, I'll deal with him alone next, Deidara roared. Okay, then you will attack and I will assist. Baiju said with a smile, don't be careless, it will kill people. Shut up, Deidara roared absolutely, and then rode the giant dragon and began to attack Zhang Yang. At this time, Heiju suddenly asked, have you seen Dazeng? No, since the melee started just now, he disappeared without finding his whereabouts. Baiju replied. Looks like there's another small move. Like that little girl, he has to be on guard. Heiju said. Understood. Then again, why do you think Obito listened to that Lin Xiaoyu so suddenly? Originally we were going to collect tailed beasts to summon Ten-tailed, but now we are attacking the 5 shadows, which is a bit different from Obito. The style of the earth is too flamboyant. Baiju expressed his doubts. I don't know, but when the fight is almost over here, I have to find a way to free Madara Uchiha from Orochimaru's filthy reincarnation. I feel that Obito didn't come as planned. Heiju said. What can you do? Baiju asked. It's not easy, even if you kill Orochimaru. Reincarnation of the earth will not be unlocked, unless Orochimaru solves this technique by itself. Heiju said, but there is another way, using the Shaker Eye to control the Orochimaru. At the moment, only Obito, Uchiha Itachi, and the boy in front of him have the blood wheel eyes. Naturally, Obito wouldn't do this, and Uchiha Itachi was hidden in a different space created by divine power. Baiju thought of something, and suddenly realized, is it all a bit too coincidental? First, I warned Orochimaru not to release the control of the dirt spot, and then hid Uchiha Itachi, and Uchiha Sasuke is now also protected by Jiraiya. It seems that Obito is doing all this to prevent Madara Uchiha's resurrection. That's right, after such an analysis, Obito is very suspicious. Heiju said and separated from Baiju, and said while merging into the ground, I'm going to monitor Obito, watch here, don't listen to Deidara. Shoot when it's time to shoot. I understand, Baiju said. The giant clay dragon that Deidara was riding spit out 2 winged clay pigs in a row, and flew towards Zhang Yang like missiles one after the other. At this time, Zhang Yang felt that it was inconvenient to deal with Didera, who was attacking from a long distance, with the flowing blade, so he transformed it back into his body. Then he gathered a large amount of thunder attribute chakra in his hands, and the high-intensity electric current condensed between his hands, and then he jumped up, first stabbed with his left hand to kill a dirty little pig in front, then turned around and used a stab with his right hand to solve the back. A dirty little pig. Due to the nature of Recto, when Didera shouted, "Huh!" of course there was no explosion. Falling back to the ground again, Zhang Yang raised his eyebrows at Didera again. "How is it? Have you taken it? What's the arrogance, kid? Even if you can restrain my explosion, can you attack me? If you have the ability, you can fly up and try." Provocation. Just when Zhang Yang was about to refute 2 sentences, he suddenly felt footsteps behind him, and when he looked back, 3 Baiju rushed towards him. You don't need such complicated ninjutsu to deal with Bai, let alone waste chakra. A simple fighting technique can kill them, so Zhang Yang once again transformed into a real flowing blade. In the blink of an eye, the 3 Baiju were cut off by Zhang Yang. Seeing this scene, Didara's face was depressed. He said to Baiju's body, "Don't come out and be ashamed. It's okay to punch him, kick him, and be hacked to death like this, it's too embarrassing." "It's not like that, look at it," Baiju said with a smile, "soon he won't be able to." Zhang Yang knows that Baiju is more difficult than Didera, because his ability is to keep splitting, and he will not consume chakra, and at the same time can absorb other people's chakra, which is more annoying, and can't be eliminated if he kills him. It can only be sealed. However, Zhang Yang stopped before he took 2 steps, with a blank expression on his face, as if he didn't know any sealing techniques at all. At this moment, something was wriggling on Zhang Yang's back. He reached out to scratch it, but touched a soft hand, which made him almost fall to the ground. It turned out that this was Baiju's robe technique, and it was parasitic on him when Zhang Yang hacked to death 3 Baiju clones just now. It's disgusting, Zhang Yang shouted while tearing at Baiju on his body, but to no avail. Baiju split more and more, and at the same time was still absorbing the chakra from Zhang Yang's body, and soon he felt tired. Chapter 382, Fire Escape. The technique of the swamp in the stomach. Baiju split more and more, until Zhang Yang was gradually wrapped into a ball, and he was suffocated while being sucked out of chakra, a little feeling that life was worse than death. At this time, the Buddha in his body spoke up. "What's the matter? A Baiju made you like this?" Zhang Yang was a little unhappy. Since just now, Folang has not helped himself. Although he said that he does not need any help, it is a matter of attitude. Living in a house for free and not paying rent is a bit unreasonable. So he scolded, "You stinky shameless person, still don't think of a way to help me." Folang shook his head and sneered, "Is your brain rusted? Can't you learn other people's ninjutsu?" "So what?" Zhang Yang was a little confused. "What else can I do now?" "Do you remember how Raying attacked you during the 5 Shadows talk?" Frong reminded. Zhang Yang remembered that when Lei Ying attacked him, he was blocked by Folang, and then he injected the chakra of the thunder attribute into his body, activated his cells, and greatly increased his strength and speed. Thinking about it this way, Zhang Yang immediately understood what Folang meant. He wanted to make himself, like Lei Ying, integrate the thunder-type chakra into his body, which would cover the surface of the body with a layer of thunder armor, in addition to activating the body's functions. And can paralyze everything that touches his body. However, Zhang Yang quickly turned dark and scolded, "Big stupid dragon, my body is so delicate, how can I withstand electric shocks? A small area like Chidori is fine, but the whole body releases lightning, how can I stand it?" Quote, "You're an idiot." Folang was also angry and shouted loudly, "You were able to withstand my primitive thunderbolt back then, how come you can't stand this little thunderbolt?" Zhang Yang rolled his eyes at him and explained with a gloomy expression, "After being hacked by you, do you know that my little brother has been burned for a week? It's so hot and sour when you pee, you can't feel it. Cut, human beings are weak, and they can't bear children to be trapped by wolves." If you don't do this, I see what you can do. You can solve it yourself if you have the ability. If you don't need it, you don't need it, this uncle has a way. Zhang Yang said in his heart. Let you see the ultimate meaning of this uncle, the art of fire escape. The swamp in the stomach. PFF'd. Puff puff. Puff puff. In the distance, Baiju looked at the expanding Baiju sphere and thought that something was wrong. Baiju's split should be getting tighter and tighter. How could this swell? Opened up by his own fart, a space that was barely able to form a seal, Zhang Yang held his breath, and quickly launched the Huo Dun handprint. Huo Dun. The technique of the swamp in the stomach. Bang! The Baiju sphere exploded, and their bodies were blown to pieces, accompanied by a pungent smoke. Zhang Yang staggered out from the inside, covering his nose. A gust of breeze blew, and Baiju and Didera also smelled the smell and pinched their noses. What did you eat? Didera roared. The stinky dead don't pay for their lives. It's the first time I've seen a way of dying like Baiju's clone. Baiju sighed. It's really not an ordinary person. You're afraid. Vomit. Zhang Yang rolled his white eyes and said with confusion as he vomited. If you're afraid, then surrender as soon as possible to save this uncle from doing it. Vomit. Fu Lang saw all of this in his eyes, and Zhang Yang cracked Baiju's white robe technique in this way. He was still a little surprised and unexpected. Although it was a bit unsightly, at least he still had the ability to adapt to the situation. It seems that he still pinned his hopes on Zhang Yang. Maybe only he can help him get out of here. Zhang Yang was really attracted by his own fart. He just condensed the wind chakra in his stomach, and wanted to create a little fart to open up a little space, so that he could form a seal and release the fire. So much. When he was not dizzy, Zhang Yang regained his sanity. He guessed that Baiju should be a little afraid of Huo Dun. After all, he is a grass creature like Robe, and Baiju seems to be a ninja in the country of grass. So Zhang Yang was going to launch a big move to deal with Baiju, but he just wanted to form a seal, but he felt that his chakra had just been sucked a little too much by Baiju, and there was not much left. At this moment, the Fran in his body said to him, "Come on, I'll lend you chakra. My uncle doesn't need it." Just now, Fu Lang didn't save him when he saw his death, and Zhang Yang was still holding revenge, so he wanted to save face. However, Fu Lang forcibly delivered its chakra to Zhang Yang, and said, "Don't be like a child, I couldn't feel the chakra of the two transmigrators just now, maybe they died for some reason, don't get entangled here, I have a bad feeling." Hearing what Fu Lang said, Zhang Yang stopped joking. He happily accepted Fu Lang's chakra, and then guessed how the two transmigrators died and could it have something to do with Lin Xiaoyu. However, he still cared about the most important thing in front of him. Zhang Yang quickly formed a seal, and launched an ninjutsu at Baiju, fire escape. How about the fireball technique? Baiju is indeed afraid of fire. He dodged the flamboyant fireball while quietly releasing the white robe technique. At this time, Didera also launched an attack. Since the clay in a small area can be restrained by Zhang Yang, it depends on whether he can have such a large chakra in a large area. He put his hands in his pockets, and let the palm of his hand swallow a lot of clay. Then Didera mixed his highest level of chakra into the clay, chewed the blasting clay into a puppet shape, and threw it into the sky. With Didera's seal, the clay doll suddenly grew in size as it fell, a size large enough to destroy a village. The huge black shadow in the sky once again attracted Zhang Yang's attention. He looked up and found that it was Didera's, C3. Number 18 inches, realizing that something was wrong. Wind done. Empty sand defense wall. Zhang Yang temporarily gave up his attack on Baiju and switched from fire done to wind done. He consumed a lot of chakra and used the sand of the surrounding land to create a huge sand wall to block his air. At this moment, Zhang Yang unknowingly grew several Baiju clones around his body. They were parasitic on Zhang Yang by the white robes that Baiju's body secretly released just now, but Zhang Yang ignored it and concentrated on resisting Didera. Clay figure number 18. Because Fu Lang shot at this time, its claws stretched out from Zhang Yang's body, and easily tore Baiju's clone from Zhang Yang's body. At the same time, when the clay doll was about to fall to the wind wall of the publicity, Didera made a, triggering, C3. Number 18 inches. Chapter 383, Art as Explosion. Art as Explosion, Didera exclaimed excitedly. The huge number 18 clay doll exploded instantly. For Zhang Yang, who was unskilled in sand manipulation, it was not enough to make the sand tight enough to withstand the explosion. The shock wave of the explosion caused him some difficulty. Although he barely blocked the attack, the sand loosened and buried Zhang Yang directly below. As expected of Didera, Baiju praised, but it seems that he is still alive. It's annoying, of course I know, Didera said, and then controlled the giant dragon to spit out a winged puppy from his mouth and launched it towards the location where Zhang Yang was buried. Just as the clay puppy was about to hit the sand surface, Didera detonated the bomb with a, hey. Almost at the same time, Zhang Yang quickly rushed out of the sand, injected chakra into his feet, and jumped to avoid the explosion's attack. Didera chased after the victory, spit out small clay animals from the giant dragon's mouth, and bombarded Zhang Yang one after another. Zhang Yang jumped up and down to dodge extremely flexibly, and ran out dozens of meters at a time, and Didera chased after him. Seeing them walking away, Baiju hurriedly chased after them, but just as he was passing through the sand, another person suddenly appeared from under the sand. Lei Dun, Lei Che. It turned out to be Zhang Yang again. Only then did Baiju realize that Zhang Yang just now was a clone technique, and the purpose was to lure Didera away, and now this is Zhang Yang's real body. I saw blue lightning streaks flashing on his palms, quickly passing through Baiju's neck and cutting off his head. Baiju was killed by Zhang Yang in this way, and then in order to avoid future troubles, he eliminated the robes that Baiju might have secretly hidden, and he incorporated chakra into his stomach, producing a large amount of flammable gas. PFF'd. After 10 consecutive seconds, Zhang Yang launched his new technique, Fire Escape. The technique of the swamp in the stomach. In an instant, a flash of fire appeared, and a raging fire ignited around it. After the fire was extinguished, Zhang Yang released his hand pinching his nose and said to himself, well, yes, just get used to it. On the other hand, Zhang Yang's clone, who had been bombarded with clay by Didera, finally couldn't hold it anymore. Didera, who saw that it was a clone, was furious, and hurriedly turned around to look for Zhang Yang, but saw that he was running towards him. Death, Didera once again used the explosive clay in his pocket to create 2 fastest bi-wing birds, and launched an attack on Zhang Yang. The clay bi-wing bird quickly fluttered its wings and came to Zhang Yang in the blink of an eye. However, because of the writing wheel eye, Zhang Yang could easily capture their movements with his eyes, so he threw 2 chakras injected with thunder attributes. No, I want to destroy these 2 two-winged birds. But at this moment, he suddenly heard Didera's, hey, sound, and his body actually exploded. The back, the 2 arms, the parts of the legs, and more importantly, the head. Although it was a small explosion, it still caught Zhang Yang by surprise, and he fell to the ground with a somersault. Hey, when the Dirty Dippers flew to Zhang Yang's side, Didera detonated them again, 2 more powerful explosions, raising a burst of smoke left by the explosion. Everything has to start with the clay doll just now. Didera already knew that Zhang Yang could restrain himself with Lei Dun, so after the explosion, while Zhang Yang was buried in the soil, he quietly threw it into the pile of sand. With some detonating clay debris mixed with chakra, as long as Zhang Yang comes out of the sand, he will naturally be contaminated with those clays that can be detonated. It's still too young, boy. Didera said with a smile, isn't there a blood wheel eye? Didn't you see my clay? Ha 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 ha, still inexperienced, Hearing Didera's ridicule, Zhang Yang's bowels turned green with remorse. Although the explosion of the dirty 2-winged bird was caught by Fu Lang later, he still couldn't hold back and burst into tears. Stinky boy, what are you crying for? I was the one who was bombed, okay. Fu Lang asked incomprehensibly. My hand was bombed and I didn't say anything. Why are you crying here? Zhang Yang shook his head, and with tears on his face, he touched the bald head on top of his head after the hair was blown off, choked and unable to say a word. Isn't it because his hair was blown off? Isn't his life still alive? Fu Lang shouted at him. Get up, his blasting clay is here again. As soon as Zhang Yang heard this, anger rushed to his forehead from his heart in an instant, and even his cool Mediterranean scalp was scalding hot with anger. Didera! Zhang Yang roared and got up. With the chakra he got from Frong, he transformed Chidori's form into a growth spear to adapt to long-distance attacks. The suddenly growing Chidori spear had stretched far enough to touch Didera's giant dragon, and he jumped up and waved his arms. Unexpectedly, he could transform the form of Thunder Dun. Didera hurriedly controlled the giant dragon to ascend, but because the speed of the huge things was slow, the giant dragon's wings waved very slowly, and the speed was far less than that of Zhang Yang's jumping up. Speed. As a result, his giant dragon was slashed in the middle by the flaming Chidori spear, and he almost injured Didera. Fortunately, he jumped off the giant dragon in time, and then made a big clay bird and jumped on it. As the saying goes, the blood can flow, the head can be broken, and the hairstyle can't be messed up. Now Zhang Yang's hairstyle is more than messy, it was destroyed by Didera, which will make him see people in the future. And Didera didn't care about this. After his giant dragon was destroyed by Zhang Yang, he was also furious. He put his hand into his pocket and found that the amount of clay was running out. Decisive battle. C4. Garuda. This time Didera ate a ball of explosive clay by himself, injected his own chakra, chewed it, and then spit it out, forming a huge clay Didera exactly like himself. Then next, this clay Didera slowly disintegrated, and finally disappeared into the air. Zhang Yang, who did not dare to be careless, activated the blood wheel eye, and clearly saw the clay spiders that were smaller than cells in the air. However, the speed of diffusion was extremely fast, and Zhang Yang soon came into contact with these tiny clay spiders. Through the blood wheel eye, Zhang Yang saw that these miniature clay spiders had entered his cells, and they swam between the cell walls. As long as Didera used ninjutsu, he would be directly blown away by the miniature bomb, with the slightest power. The dust escape, the technique of stripping the realm, that does not belong to Tsuchikage Onogi. Didera wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, panting and laughing, showing a disdainful expression. Whether you are from the Uchiha family or not, as long as you have these eyes, you should be damned. Chapter 384. Who are you? Didera knew very well that Zhang Yang could restrain his detonating clay with the chakra of the thunder attribute, so he did not release any thunder ninjutsu for his seal at all, and said directly, "Oh. Art is explosion." However, Zhang Yang didn't do anything at all, and released Lei Dun from his body, and blue lightning flashed constantly around him. Zhang Yang looked at Didera coldly and said, "I don't need Yuyan to release ninjutsu at all. The so-called Yuyan before was just deceiving people in this world." Deception. Didera didn't believe Zhang Yang's words, and roared, "You lie less, you have the ability." However, before he finished speaking, a white steam emerged from Zhang Yang's body, and then slowly transformed into a knife and appeared on Zhang Yang's right hand. Next, Zhang Yang stretched out his left hand. He didn't do anything, and he really launched the thunder escape. Thousand birds, technique. Who the hell are you? Didera was shocked by Zhang Yang's strength. For the first time in this world, he saw a ninja who could release ninjutsu without a knot, and he was like a god. Didera, I admit that you are strong enough to make me like this, so I decided to tell you something as the last reward in your life. Zhang Yang said, "You don't have to guess who I am, because I'm not from this world." It seems that Lin Xiaoyu didn't tell you so much. He just ordered Obito to attack Wying, and you became their cannon fodder. Didera was speechless in surprise. Do you know what's wrong with you? Zhang Yang said, joining the Xiao organization is your biggest mistake. Although you were forced, your artistic path must end here. You are a blasting expert and the most valued apprentice of Tianping Daoki. If you do not join Akatsuki, but continue to make good use of your strengths in Yenian village and do something for the village, the next Tuakage will be you, Didera. Art is an explosion, I have no objection, but look now, your artistic path is about to be destroyed. Old man. Deidara remembered his master, Onogi, and his younger sister, Haitu, and a feeling of sadness surged in his heart, and suddenly, he became fierce. Art is an explosion. No matter what you say, I must defend my explosion art today. You don't want to deny it. Even for the last time, I want everyone to see that art is an explosion. Saying that, Deidara took off his clothes, revealing a mouth in front of his left chest, which is connected to the heart by the meridians in the body. Deidara removed the line that sealed his mouth, opened his mouth, then stuffed the only remaining bite of the blasting clay into his mouth and began to chew heavily. After that, Deidara's body gradually became transparent, and the chakras of the whole body converged at the position of the heart along the meridian blood vessels of the body, slowly forming a black ball. Zhang Yang shook his head and sighed Deidara's obsession and overreaching. He slowly walked in front of Deidara, slowly stretched out his right hand, and pushed hard into Deidara's heart that had turned into a black ball. And then activated Chidori. Like 1,000 birds chirping, after the blue flash stopped, the chakra in the black ball quickly retreated along the meridian blood vessels, and slowly flowed back to Deidara's body. Deidara returned to his original state, except for the bulging of blood vessels on the surface of his body and the blackening of his body. He had stopped breathing. Laikatu, Zhang Yang said softly, reached out and stroked Deidara's face from top to bottom, closed his eyes for him, and then Zhang Yang rushed to the other side of the fighting area. On the other hand, Haitu was caught in the heart by Jiaodu's tentacles of resentment. Hitu controlled the rock figure to block the Huodun head hard of the Huodun mask for Haitu, and the Lei-dun mask on the right side of Jiaodu's head is now open. He opened his mouth to start ninjutsu. Lei-dun. Pseudo-darkness. What was fired from the mouth of the Lei-dun mask monster was a sharp spear condensed with thunder attribute chakra, which easily pierced an arm of the terracotta rock figure, and then attacked the terracotta. On the one hand, he wanted to protect the black soil, and on the other hand, the thunder-dun ninjutsu attacked him. For a while, the red soil didn't know what to do. At this moment, a voice came from behind Kitu. Wind escape. Spiral shuriken. I saw that Zhang Yang launched the wind escape ninjutsu in his hand and threw it towards Kitu. The wind dun spiral shuriken passed by Kitu's head, directly smashing the Lei-dun pseudo of the Lei-dun mask monster. Darkness, but it didn't mean to stop at all, and the speed didn't slow down, and quickly hit the Lei-dun mask on the right side of Jiaodu. Huh. Zhang Yang ran over panting. I finally caught up. Are you alright? Seeing Kitu staring at his hair and not speaking, Zhang Yang said to him seriously, seriously, if you dare to laugh at my hairstyle, I'll beat you to death. It's very cruel. Kaitu shook his head, and then said anxiously to Zhang Yang, Haitu is still over there. Something seems wrong. I understand, I'll leave the rest to me. Zhang Yang moved his body, ready to concentrate on dealing with Jiaodu. What about me? Kitu asked. You, just watch it next to you. I'm not interested without the audience. Remember to shout cheers. Zhang Yang said and rushed up. Jiaodu saw a helper, and instantly shattered one of his own Lei-dun heart, so he hurriedly wanted to extract the heart of the black soil. However, at this moment, Zhang Yang's wind escape. Wind cut, from a distance very accurately cut off the grudge tentacles connecting the heart of the black soil. Zhang Yang quickly went down and picked up the black soil, took her to a safe place, and carefully placed her on the ground. It's you, Kuroto said with difficulty. She remembered that this kid was the Konoha ninja who fought Reikage and Tsuchikage during the Five Shadows meeting. It's alright. Zhang Yang nodded at him and said affectionately, with me here, don't be afraid. However, in the next second, Haitu covered his mouth and burst into violent laughter. Zhang Yang took a few steps away from her, and looked at Haitu who was rolling on the ground with laughter. PFF ha ha ha. Haitu was out of breath from laughing, and even his stomach started to twitch with laughter, hurting more than the heart that was just injured. Your hair. PFFHAHA. This hairstyle is also too. Ha ha ha. Zhang Yang's face was lifeless. He ignored the black soil and came to Jiaodu with tears in his eyes, and said to him, "What are you doing? Are you still a member of Xiao's organization?" "A little bit. You can't do something as simple as taking a heart. What do you want me to say?" Zhao didn't understand what he was talking about, but since he can appear here, it means that Feijuan has been controlled, which means that his heart in Feijuan's body was also destroyed by this kid. Chapter 385, The Death of Jiaodu. At the moment, there are still his own heart with the earth attribute and a heart with the fire attribute. There is a strong reinforcement on the opposite side, and he must quickly add a heart. Seeing that Zhang Yang was using Feng Dun, Jiaodu thought that he could only use Fire Dun to restrain him. And Zhang Yang is also analyzing Jiaodu's current ability. Judging from his appearance, there are already 2 hearts left. As long as he destroys the Huo Dun mask and kills him, it will be over. However, Zhang Yang still can't be careless, because through the blood wheel eye, he has already seen several tentacles of the meridian and collaterals with the corners buried in the ground. If they are caught by these things, it will be quite difficult to deal with. "Is there a boy with a wheel eye? It looks very good," Jiaodu said arrogantly. "I accept your heart." "Don't be in such a hurry to accept it. When did I give it to you?" Zhang Yang was very disgusted with this kind of pre-war boasting. In fact, most of the people who showed off their strength ended up dead. Except for Zhang Yang himself, who made him bear the dazzling halo of the protagonist. Zhang Yang soon saw the small movements of the tentacles of the grudge meridian under the ground. He sneered, thinking that it is convenient to have blood-round eyes, and where there are chakras, you can see it clearly. However, Jiaodu also knew that Zhang Yang could see through his movements, which would be good and distract him. Huo Dun. Head hard. Jiaodu preempted the attack. The Huo Dun masked monster opened his mouth wide and started ninjutsu, and a tsunami of flames rushed towards Zhang Yang and others. Not to be outdone, Zhang Yang released his ninjutsu, Water Escape. Water Formation Wall. From Zhang Yang's mouth, he spat out a wall of surging water like waves, blocking the attack of the Huo-un mask monster. Taking advantage of Jiaodu's astonishment, Zhang Yang made another move and launched the Water Escape ninjutsu, Water Escape. The technique of rain formation. He condensed the chakra in the air and launched it. The speed was as strong as a bullet, and the powerful water bullet shot towards him. Launched in all directions. Due to the light of the attack range, Jiaodu had to disband the resentment mode, put the fire escape mask monster into his body, and return to its original state. Then, in order to resist the water escape rain formation technique, he injected the earth attribute chakra into his body and hardened his body. The blackened horns all over his body struggled to block Zhang Yang's attack, and then he looked at the young man in front of him again, feeling incredible. This chakra is not something that a human can have at all, it is comparable to the power of a tailed beast, and what surprised Zhao the most is that the water escape that Zhang Yang used just now made him feel a little familiar. 1,000 hands. Yes, it is the ninjutsu of the second generation Hokage of Konoha village, Senju Tobarama. He has seen him use this trick to attack the enemy in a large area. Although the power and scale are not as good as the second generation Hokage, it is definitely his technique, and the power is at least 100 times higher than that of ordinary people. Seeing Zhao standing still, Zhang Yang didn't know what he was thinking about, so he had to continue to attack, not wanting to give him a chance to take a break. Water escape. The technique of water whip. The water whip created from his hand moved towards the corners or extended. Zhao didn't know if it was because of his distraction or what, but he was easily caught by Zhang Yang, and the water whip wrapped around the horn several times, keeping him firmly under control. Afterwards, Zhang Yang injected Lei Dun into it, and the high-intensity electric current moved towards the corners quickly along with the water whip. Soon he was enveloped by the lightning and lightning. With the characteristics of Lek soil, the soil Dun hardening technique on his body was blocked by lightning. It's easy to crack. Kitu saw that the corners were all under control, and hurriedly injected more chakra into the rock figure, making the body of the rock figure even bigger and burlier, and then Kitu controlled him to move in front of Jiaodu. If you are smashed down by this rock giant, it is estimated that he will be smashed into slag. Zhao Du thought so. However, this is exactly what he wanted. Zhang Yang and Kai Tu's attention was on him, so no one would notice the underground meridian tentacles. Just when the rock giant was about to throw his fist at Zhao Du, Kitu heard the sound of something breaking out of the ground under his feet. Before he could look down, he felt a sharp pain in his arm and heart. Ninjutsu stopped. The black soil on one side was also entangled by the tentacles of the Earth Resentment U Meridian, unable to move at all, and the tentacles inserted the position of the heart, and they were already taking her heart. Seeing this, Zhang Yang continued to grab Zhao Du with the water whip with one hand, and the other hand hurriedly used ninjutsu, wind escape. Double blade wind cut. The two sharp, wind cuts, were quickly cut off. The meridian tentacles on Kai Tu and Hei Tu, but at this moment, Zhang Yang felt an itch on his body, and then he noticed that the meridian tentacles of the ground grudge had wrapped around him. Water escape. Water flow whip, was lifted. Zhao Du moved his arms twice, and said with a smile, "A great kid, to be able to use ninjutsu with one hand is a rare genius." Zhang Yang wanted to say thank you, but he couldn't make a sound, because those tentacles had wrapped him into a mummy shape. His body couldn't move at all, and many tentacles stretched into his mouth. On the other side, the black soil and the red soil were rewrapped with meridian tentacles, and their movements were also restricted. Zhao Du walked up to Zhang Yang and said, "Although I don't know who you are, you can use water dun, feng dun and lei dun. You are a rare ninjutsu genius, but this is the end. I accept your heart." Quote. Since it is said that he is a genius, how could he be easily defeated by you? Just when Zhao Du was about to take Zhang Yang's heart, he heard his voice coming from behind him, and he shouted in surprise, "What? Clone technique." That's how it was. It was that time. The spiral pill. Zhang Yang hit the key point, hit the fire escape mask behind Zhao Du with the spiral pill, and shattered it instantly. Then he said proudly, "Yes, the water escape. The water array wall resists your fire escape. When you are working hard, you haven't seen such a simple way to hide yourself. You are really old, Zhao Du." Zhao Du endured the severe pain and ran to Haitu and Kitu. His hands had disappeared, turning into scattered and floating tentacles of the Kiu Meridian, and inserted them into the hearts of Kitu and Haitu. As long as there is a heart, you can live forever, right? You take away other people's right to exist in the world. On our side, you will go to 18 levels of hell. The corners were spitting out a pool of blood, shaking his head and turning his head, looking at Zhang Yang who was standing behind him at an unknown time, opened his mouth to say something, but in the end, the pupils in his eyes were maximized and his heart stopped. Beat. Are you trying to say it's a clone technique again? Zhang Yang pulled out his hand that inserted the Chidori into Zhao Du's body, pushed his body lightly, and fell to the ground. Chapter 386, Crisis. After Zhao Du died, the tentacles of the Earth Resentment U Meridian that had penetrated into the terracotta and black soil also fell off. Kai Tu hurriedly helped Hei Tu to check her wound. Because of the reason that her heart was pulled twice in a row, her wound was quite heavy. At this moment, a large number of samurai warriors from the Kingdom of Iron surrounded them, and Mifune, headed by them, saw the mess at the scene and the huge Susanoo of Madara Uchiha in the distance, and hurriedly asked, "How's the situation?" "This is a battle of ninjas. It's better for you warriors to withdraw. By the way, the girl here is injured. Take her to treatment quickly. Don't delay." Zhang Yang found that Mifune had been staring at his hair, expression with a complicated face. Zhang Yang sighed helplessly, and said to him, "Do you know what a noble is? Do you know the funeral family? Don't look at me with your eyes, thank you." After speaking, Zhang Yang moved towards the next battle area. Let's go. Along the way, Zhang Yang gathered the chakra in his hands to form a sharp palm wind cut, and then began to shave himself. On the other hand, Chojuro turned the flounder downward and launched, Flamfish. Liberation. And a huge beam of light was launched downward, which generated a huge back thrust and pushed Chojuro upwards. The ghost shark dodged the flounder's attack, and when he looked up again, Chojuro was more than 10 meters away from him. So the ghost shark swam up to speed up, trying to catch Changjiro, but it took some time to dodge the attack just now, and Changjiro rushed out of the water from under his nose. Nagajiro took a deep breath in the moment he was in the air, and fresh air poured into his dry lungs, instantly making him feel refreshed. Then he lowered his head to observe the ghost shark again. Sure enough, such a large-scale water prison could only move on a flat surface and could not rise. At this moment, he was staring fiercely at Changjiro in the water. In the process of falling, Chojuro had already thought of a way not to be caught by the ghost shark. He stepped on the flounder under his feet and released his ninjutsu at the moment of falling to the surface. The recoil generated by the power of the shock wave was enough for him to be on the water. Glide, the speed is not inferior to the ghost shark. The ghost shark watched Changjiro quickly slide above his head under the water. He quickly formed a seal, raised his arm and patted the palm of his hand to the water above his head, and launched a ninjutsu, water escape. Double water shark bullet. From two huge water sharks jumped out of the water, opening their bloody mouths like Changjiro and biting them. Not to be outdone, Changjiro jumped up and split the flounder in his hand into two, then rotated his body and cut the two water sharks beside him into two pools of water with his blade. Before falling to the surface, he merged the flounder and flounder that were separated into one, and slid on the water like a skateboard again. The ghost shark saw that there was no way to go on like this. Changjiro who left the water was more sly than a loach. It was not easy to hurt him, so he could only be led into the water by a trick. Water escape. Rain 4 sharks. The ghost shark raised his palm again to release ninjutsu. He used chakra to create 4 shark-shaped water bombs and launched them from the water into the air. After they fall into the water, they will become sharks that will automatically attack Changjiro without the control of ghost sharks, and this shark has the ability to split, and the part that is cut off by the knife will regenerate a new shark. As long as the surrounding with enough water, it will split indefinitely. After releasing the ninja operation, the ghost shark began to go downstream. As long as he threatened Changjiro without the auxiliary attack of the water shark, the ghost shark did not believe that Changjiro was capable of dealing with such a situation. After all, he still looks like a very young lad. In the face of the 4 sharks that suddenly appeared, Changjiro could only split the flounder into 2 knives again, trying to kill them all. However, the splitting ability of the water sharks was beyond his expectation, and in a blink of an eye, 4 more sharks appeared on the surface of the water. Shark. By the time Nagajiro split the 2 sharks that had pounced on him, there were already 10 sharks of the same size roaming around him. When Changjiro fell to the ground, he could only condense part of the chakra on his feet so that he could walk on the water. Facing the constant attack of the sharks, Chojuro could only fight hard to attack. The consumption of physical strength and chakra made him sweat all over. In a blink of an eye, there were already more than 30 sharks surrounding him. The ghost shark dived and wondered why Changjiro didn't come down with him. Could it be that he thought Ao was helpless, so he didn't plan to waste his energy on him? Or, the ghost shark immediately sensed the chakra situation in the water, and sure enough, there was a faint chakra moving towards the edge of the water prison. It turned out to be the case. They should have discussed the countermeasures before they hit Changjiro just now, one ascending and the other diving, in order to distract themselves. Sure enough, he was a battle-hardened veteran, and in a very short period of time, he analyzed the weakness that this technique cannot ascend, so that Chojuro rose up to escape, while Ao pretended not to be able to survive and dived, so that he could face it. Ao was relieved, and then went after Changjiro, who could escape, so that both sides could gain a certain amount of time. It seems that he has made a mistake in the target. He should kill the smart one first. With his perception in the water, the ghost shark quickly chased after Ching, who had already swam to the edge of the water prison, and hugged him from behind. After being violently strangled, Ching couldn't help opening his mouth and coughing, and the water was poured into his lungs, causing a burning pain. Unexpectedly, the ghost shark caught up so quickly. Ching struggled desperately, but to no avail. He felt that his chakra was being absorbed by the ghost shark little by little. It's good, even the shark muscles that were sealed have recovered. Now you can't do anything about it. After I kill you, go back and clean up that little devil. The ghost shark said, and accelerated the absorption of chakra on Qing's body. And the strength in his hands is also increasing. He intends to strangle Qingwo to death. Chojuro, who was still on the water, was exhausted from being attacked by nearly 100 sharks around him, and the chakra in his body seemed to have disappeared. However, when he wanted to escape from the top of this water prison, he was surrounded by sharks. Can't leave at all. Flamfish. Bone-biting bonding technique. Facing another wave of sharks attacking him around him, Chojuro knew that he could no longer attack them, so he could only defend first, and then find an opportunity to break through. With the launch of ninjutsu, 2 flounders spun along Chengjuro's body to form a hollow ball, wrapping Chengjuro in it. The outer surface of the ball is some protruding black bone spurs. When the enemy attacks can stop them from getting close. However, the water sharks don't care about those bone spurs, and they attack the flounder wildly one after another. The sharks that were crushed by the impact continued to split again. Soon the entire surface of the water prison was full of water escape sharks, and their activities also made the water prison. There were violent waves on the surface. Chapter 387. The Ghost Shark Fights Zhang Yang. The scope of ghost sharks, water escape, water prison shark dance, is really wide. Zhang Yang can see a huge water prison that looks very abrupt in the forest from a distance. It looks like a blue gem is embedded on the emerald, which is very eye-catching. Regarding the ghost shark's ninjutsu, which is specially developed to capture tailed beasts, Zhang Yang has long known that he is not easy to deal with, especially fighting in water. Is not so easy to deal with. But it's not impossible. Since it's chakra, you can deal with him as long as you use the fighting technique. Unfortunately, the blue beast Matekai, the nemesis of the ghost shark, is not here, so the only way to deal with the ghost shark is illusion. In the giant water prison, Qing was bound by the power of the ghost shark to the point of rolling his eyes, and blood had overflowed from his nostrils and mouth, filling the seawater. The ghost shark thought that it was almost time, and the time could not be delayed any longer, so the strength of the body suddenly increased, ready to end Qing's life. At this moment, the ghost shark suddenly felt a violent fluctuation in the water, and was moving behind him at a lightning speed. Later, the ghost shark didn't even know what it was, so he lifted his legs up. As soon as he lifted it, he let go of Qing, and he dodged the inexplicable attack behind him with a backflip. When he regained his posture, he suddenly smelled the strong smell of blood in the water. He looked down, and the blood continued to spread from behind him, and blood flowers floated around his body. Soon, there was a piercing pain at the base of the tail, and the ghost shark realized that his tail could not escape the attack when he did a backflip just now, and was cut off by something. However, over time, the acupuncture points that were sealed by green have been automatically unlocked, and the regeneration ability of the shark muscle has also come in handy, and soon his tail will grow again. Following the position where the fluctuations first appeared, the ghost shark looked towards him at 2 o'clock, and saw a strange young man reaching out to him. Zhang Yang's arm began to stretch rapidly, and the arm was also much thicker, with irregular scales raised on it, and his 5 fingers also turned into large dragon claws with sharp nails, grabbing in the direction of the ghost shark. Seeing this, the ghost shark did not evade, but stepped forward and hugged the dragon's claw, trying to absorb the chakra of Folang. But how could Folang be so easy to deal with? He raised a dragon claw from its thick arm again, stretched out and grabbed the ghost shark in the heart of the claw, and the sharp claws directly pierced his body. The ghost shark, who had never seen this battle, tried to hide in a hurry, but was caught by the dragon claw and couldn't move at all. However, he desperately tried to break free, tearing off most of his body, and even his internal organs fell out of his chest and floated in the water. Zhang Yang took the opportunity to lightly grab Qing's clothes, quickly dragged him out of the water prison, and quickly transported Frong's chakra into his body. After a while, Qing coughed twice, and a lot of blood spurted out of his mouth, but it was no big deal. It will be fine. Who are you? Qing looked at the bald head in front of him, feeling familiar but unable to name her. Okay, you wait here for a while, and I'll deal with the ghost shark. Zhang Yang got up and acted after saying that. Be careful, he can take chakra, Ching reminded from behind. Although the ghost shark made himself miserable, but he had the ability to regenerate and finally healed all the wounds. Because of the reason that he ate a lot of chakra just now, he still has a lot of chakra left. In the spirit. The ghost shark swam in the direction of Zhang Yang and asked at the same time, "Are you the one who came here from the outside world?" "Oh, Obito trusts you, I've already told you." Zhang Yang was a little surprised. After all, neither Deidara nor Zhao knew their origins. "Yes, the most loyal person in the entire Shao organization is me, and he has no reason to distrust me." Zhaodu continued, "You can show up here. It means that Deidara and one of the zombie duo Feijuan have already solved it." "And Zhaodu," Zhang Yang sneered, "it will be you soon, the tailless beast, the ghost shark." Just as the ghost shark was moving towards Zhang Yang, the giant water prison was also moving towards him. At this time, Zhang Yang had been wrapped in the water prison, and he could clearly feel the loss of chakra in his body. "Is it so strong? As long as someone who enters your water prison can take chakra without touching it?" Zhang Yang asked. "So, I can feel that this chakra is not yours, but comes from the evil beast in your body." Ghost Shark said, "You seem to know some of my abilities, but even so, it can suck you up. In front of me of chakra, what tricks can you play?" "Hee hee, do you know how I hurt you just now?" Zhang Yang said with a smile, then raised his hands to make a few seals indiscriminately, and launched an ninjutsu, Dust Escape. The technique of stripping away the realm. The dust escaped from his hand like a slender thread went straight through the ghost shark's arm. This move Dust Escape even Tsuchikage Onoki can't use. He can only use the technique of stripping the original world, control it into a hollow cylinder or cone shape, while Zhang Yang can compress it into a thin line with the power of Frong, enough to cut any hard object. Is Shuiji eliminated? Sure enough, he is a very strong person, but are you sure that he can beat me faster in the water? After the ghost shark finished speaking, he moved quickly, the wound on his arm also healed in an instant, and then he starts swimming towards Zhang Yang. The strange thing is that Zhang Yang can split the ghost shark into two with a slight wave of his hand at this time, but he didn't move at all. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't want to move, but for some reason, the water pressure around Zhang Yang suddenly increased, the weight of the water also increased dozens of times, and his body couldn't move at all. It turned out that the ghost shark controlled the pressure of the water around Zhang Yang, and he could move easily in normal waters, so he quickly came to Zhang Yang. "It's really good chakra. I can feel that the shark muscle is more excited than before. This kind of chakra can't be compared with four-tailed beasts. No, it can't be compared with any tailed beast." Ghost Shark put your hand on Zhang Yang's shoulder, absorbing his chakra to the fullest. And at this moment, the moment the Ghost Shark looked at Zhang Yang's eyes, he instantly stopped the movement in his hand. After a while, he slowly took his hand off Zhang Yang, and then stepped aside, his hands dropped, and there was no more unnecessary movement. On the other hand, Zhang Yang moved his sore shoulders due to the water pressure and looked at the ghost shark with a smile. Sure enough, it's better to use the wheel eye. Chapter 388. The True Strength of the Tailless Beast. At this time, Chojuro, who was still hiding in the hollow bone spur ball made by the flounder, suddenly felt that there was no impact from the outside, and the sound of splashing water gradually disappeared, replaced by a strange calm. He poked his head out quietly and found that the sharks were gone. The water was dropping rapidly, and the trunks of trees could be seen all around. When he reacted, it was too late to get up and fell to the ground. Nogjuro rubbed his buttocks and got up, put the flounder back together, and carefully observed the surroundings. Not far from him is the ghost shark in the state of shark muscles, but he is surprisingly quiet, standing there motionless, with no expression on his face. In front of the ghost shark was a somewhat familiar bald head. He was waving his hand to say hello to him, and Chenjiro also waved at him blankly. "Oops, Ao-sama." Chojuro then remembered that Ao was gone, and hurriedly looked around, and finally found Ao lying on the ground trying to wave at him. Chojuro hurriedly ran over, carefully helped Ao, and asked eagerly, "Are you all right, Ao-sama? Why is there blood on your chest?" Ching smiled and waved his hand, indicating that his life was not in danger, and then explained, "The ghost shark is indeed very smart, and soon noticed that I was running away, and was caught by him and almost died, thanks to the monk who saved me, Amitabha." When Zhang Yang heard Ching say this, he looked back at him indifferently, and said dejectedly, "Uncle, please open your eyes and see clearly that I'm not a monk, I just have a cooler hairstyle." Only then did Chengjiro recall that the young man in front of him was the Konoha ninja who appeared during the 5 shadow talks. "You made a mistake, Master Ching, he was Zhang Yang and came with Naruto Tsunade." Finally got a good look, Zhang Yang sighed and ignored them, but turned to the ghost shark, pondering what to do with him. As far as the current situation is concerned, the ghost shark has been controlled by himself with the blood wheel eye, and then he only needs to be temporarily imprisoned in the Iron Country cell. After the war is over, the 5 shadows will discuss what to do with them. There is no need for him to end his life now. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang instructed Chengjiro, "Wait for the samurai from the Iron Country to come over. If your injury is not serious, just wait for a while, and then hand over the ghost shark to them and then go to Ao for treatment." "I see." Chojuro nodded, and then asked again, "How is Mizukage-sama?" "Don't worry, it's a shadow after all, it won't die so easily." Zhang Yang said, "It's you guards, I have to help them quickly." Looking at the current situation, it seems that one member of Akatsuki is dealing with 2 shadow guards. Although it is 2-on-1, it is impossible to carelessly know the strength of a single member of the organization. After all, the facts are in front of us. As he spoke, Zhang Yang glanced at the ghost shark, meaning to see how badly you were beaten by him. Chengjiro also understands that the situation is very critical now, so he asked Zhang Yang to help the other shadow guards quickly, and stay here to watch the ghost shark. Good for her. Don't worry, Shui Ying will be fine. Zhang Yang saw his worry and comforted him. Because Zhang Yang knew that Obito already knew that the culprit who hurt Lin was Madara Uchiha. Therefore, it is impossible for him to let Orochimaru release the control of Muddy Madara, so Madara cannot exert his strength at his peak. But what Zhang Yang couldn't understand was that since Obito knew that Madara Uchiha was the culprit in killing Rin, why did he continue to start the Ninja World War? Obviously, the reason must be inseparable from the intervention of transmigrators. Lin Xiaoyu and Dazeng must have said or done something to Obito. Just when Zhang Yang was about to rush to the next battle area, he suddenly felt a strange movement behind him, but the next second, he was instantly wrapped in a ball-shaped water prison technique. Zhang Yang's eyes widened, and he turned around incredulously to look at the ghost shark who was controlling him in the water prison in front of him. How could he solve the illusion? Also surprised were Chojuro and Ao. They watched the ghost shark trap Zhang Yang in the water polo, but they couldn't understand how he unlocked the illusion of the blood wheel eye. For a moment, an atmosphere of fear pervaded each of them. "I really can't be careless, I was controlled by you accidentally." The ghost shark put one hand on the edge of the water prison to maintain the technique of the water prison, and said to Zhang Yang, "It's really unexpected, Zhang Yang, I didn't expect you to have Yuji. The writing wheel of the Bo family." Quote. Seeing Zhang Yang's eyes widened and speechless, the ghost shark laughed. "You must be surprised at how I solved the illusion. It doesn't matter, I will explain it to you. There are still many ways to unlock the illusion, such as your own chakra is stronger than the caster, and then rely on your own chakra to forcibly unlock the illusion. I can't do this, because your chakra comes from the giant beast in your body. The second method is to let the surrounding companions inject his chakra. As long as the chakra in the body is disturbed, the illusion can be unlocked. Generally speaking, only a single person can release the illusion. It only works if this person is Renzuli, but well, although I am not Renzuli, and I don't have a tailed beast in my body, I have a good friend that you ignore. It's shark muscle." Zhang Yang suddenly realized that the title of the tailless beast is really not a vain name. In addition to having a powerful chakra, he also has the same constitution that is not afraid of illusions like Renzuli. This person, the ghost shark, is really scary. Water escape. The technique of the shark prison. After the ghost shark finished speaking, he activated his ninjutsu, and created 2 ferocious sharks in the water prison. Since it has been explained clearly, I will send you on the road, while sucking your dick. Chakra, let the sharks eat your body. Zhang Yang, I admit you are strong, but that's it. Flamfish. Liberation. Nogjiro released a beam of light at this time, attacking the ghost shark. However, the ghost shark did not dodge, but exited the shark muscle fusion mode, and held the shark muscle sword in his hand to resist Changjiro's attack. Because Changjiro had basically used up his chakra in order to avoid the attack of the split shark before, so his current attack, the ghost shark can block it with one hand. After absorbing Changjira's attack, the shark muscle injected chakra into the ghost shark. Now he is getting stronger and stronger, and he will not take Changjiro in his eyes at all. And Changjiro fell to the ground in a state of close to 0 chakra, and I was unable to move because of his serious injuries. Therefore, the situation of Zhang Yang is very dangerous. Chapter 389, Father and Mother. As the ghost shark launched ninjutsu, the 2 sharks around Zhang Yang in the water prison started to attack him fiercely, and the 2 dragon claws that protruded from Zhang Yang's body crushed the 2 sharks respectively. However, the shark can still split, turning into 4 in the blink of an eye. Zhang Yang's urgency was born of wisdom, and the real flowing blade was transformed from his body like a fire. He held the handle of the sword with both hands, pressed the blade against the surface of the water prison, and then rotated 360 degrees to open the water prison. The technique of the water prison is cracked, and the shark will naturally cease to exist. Immediately afterwards, the 2 dragon claws on Zhang Yang's body held the ghost shark at the same time, and held it tightly in the claws. No matter how the ghost shark struggles, this time he can no longer rely on the restraint of the dragon claw in the form of self-mutilation, but he is still doing the final struggle, madly sucking the chakra of Folang, and the shark muscle also hangs on the barbs on his body. On the dragon claw, suck the chakra and then transfer it into the master's body. However, Zhang Yang no longer gave him a chance. He waved a knife and chopped off the head of the ghost shark with lightning speed, ending the battle. On the other hand, the battle between Cage guards Konkuro, Tamari and Scorpio continues, and they are already at a disadvantage. Sand and Iron Attack. Scorpion controlled the 3 generations of wind shadow puppets to release ninjutsu, and a large amount of sand and iron gathered together for high-density compression, instantly becoming a giant sand-iron weapon with increased hardness and weight. Because it is made of sand and iron, the scorpion can manipulate and change its shape at will. At this moment, he turned the sand iron into a giant 3% pyramid shape, like an incomparably sharp long, pointed spearhead, and attacked Konkuro and the others. Konkuro, who no longer has the ability to resist the crow puppet and the mountain pepperfish puppet, can only rely on the power of Tamari for defense. Wind Escape. Kama Itachi Wind Wall. Tamari waved a huge fan to create a rapid wind wall, and the wall made of wind blocked them in front of them with a strong airflow. The giant 3% pyramid collided with the wind wall, and sparks erupted from the violent friction. It stands to reason that few people can defend against the attack of the giant 3% pyramid, because it is hard enough to pierce any object. However, Tamari's wind escape seems to be slightly better at the moment, because the wall made of wind is not static, and the wind is constantly moving vigorously, so it can always shift the attack point of the cone head to weaken its attack. So the two held a stalemate for a long time, and finally the scorpion was no longer persistent and stopped attacking. And Tamari is not so easy. This ninjutsu has consumed a lot of her chakra. Exhausted, she began to pant hard, her eyes have been blurred. What's the matter, Konkuro? Tamari saw that Konkuro hadn't shot since just now, so he asked, is it okay? The crow and the Sanshoyu have both been destroyed. Now I can only take out the 2 of them. Konkuro said, although I don't want Senior Scorpion to see them, I can't take care of them anymore. Do you have any other puppets? Tamari still knew Konkuro quite well. Apart from crows, Sanshofish and black ants, he didn't seem to make any other puppets in private. When I came out this time, My mother-in-law Chio gave me a pair of puppets for me to use to protect Gaara. Kankuro said to her, but I have never operated a humanoid puppet before, so it may be very difficult. A humanoid puppet? Temari asked in surprise, could it be? The human-shaped puppets Kankuro said were the father and mother puppets made by the scorpion. When the Kingdom of Wind and the Kingdom of Fire were at war, a team led by Hitaki Sakumo, known as Konoha White Fang, came to the area where the scorpion parents were stationed. Since Sandian Village was particularly tenacious in the battle in this area, their desperate resistance made Hitaki Sakumo mistakenly believe that it was an important strategic location, and began to launch a fierce attack on Scorpion's parents. After suffering heavy casualties on both sides, Scorpion's parents were killed by White Fang, and the garrison was breached. However, at this moment, Hitaki Sakumo realized that this place is not a strategic place at all, and that this pair of men and women guarding so desperately is just to protect their child, Scorpio. This time, Konoha Baya, who has always been ruthless towards the enemy, softened his heart and left him alive. Since then, Scorpion has become an orphan. His grandma couldn't bear to see him immersed in grief all day long, so she taught him how to make puppets, so that he could turn his attention to making puppets. The first puppet that Scorpion made with his hands was the father and mother, which were made according to the appearance of his parents. When the Scorpion unskilledly manipulated the father and mother to embrace him, the chakra line was accidentally broken, and the fragile puppet fell on the ground and broke. He thought he could feel the warmth of his parents again, but the sound of the puppet falling to the ground seemed to be telling him, stop dreaming, and face the cold reality, they can't come back. At that moment, Scorpion looked at the fragments of parents on the ground and burst into tears. That's right, they are the two of them. Kankuro called out, father and mother, and explained, these two puppets are very important to Senior Scorpion, let him face his parents, it's a bit cruel, so. That's why you have endured until now. Temari understood what he was thinking. Sorry, Kankuro said. It's okay, I understand you. Temari nodded. Do you have any good advice now? It's time to concentrate on dealing with the scorpion. Originally, these two puppets were just ordinary puppets and couldn't be used for combat, but after Senior Scorpion became a rebel, Granny Chio collected them, and then modified them to become tactical puppets capable of both offense and defense. Maybe Chio's mother-in-law had long thought of using this pair of puppets to deal with the scorpions, so she converted them into weapons, but it was natural for parents to discipline their children. He continued, it's up to me to attack now, you don't have much chakra, keep it for self-defense. I can help you, but don't look down on me. Temari said and opened the fan with a tough look on his face. Kankuro looked at her, nodded, then manipulated father and mother to stand in front of her, and whispered, come here a little bit, I have a plan. Scorpion has seen his puppets, father and mother, since just now, but there is still no expression on his face. The dead cannot be resurrected, only puppets are eternal art, so when he sees eternal parents, instead kind of relieved. Ninjutsu. Thousand-handed martial arts. Scorpion took the lead in attacking, summoning several arms that could be stretched freely from the arms of the three-generation wind shadow puppet, like thick snake scales, twisting towards Kankuro to attack. Kankuro only gave him the humanoid puppets because of the 5 shadows meeting, so he didn't have time to practice manipulating them, and he was very unskilled after getting started. Chapter 390, The Strength of Kankuro. Seeing that Scorpion's thousand-handed martial arts had already attacked in front of him, Kankuro waved his hands and waving his fingers, and began to control the father and mother with difficulty for defense. The right hand of the puppet, father, and the left hand of the puppet, mother, are held together, and when they run to the front of the thousand-handed martial arts, they quickly separate. The arm is cut in two along the cross-section. Afterwards, a rotatable gear composed of 8 small machetes popped out from the other arm of the three-generation wind shadow puppet, and launched a fighting technique attack on the father and mother. And Kankuro also carefully controlled the father and mother, extending swords and weapons from their arms to fight against the 3 generations of Cage. In the sword, light and sword shadow, the competition is not only the flexibility and hardness of the puppet structure, but also the test of the puppet master's skills. The first generation master Chisha Scorpion and the rising star Kankuro, the collision between the two at this moment is more like an alternation of skills. The father and mother, from the crow, the mountain pepperfish, and the black ant to the present are all puppets made by the scorpion, and Kankuro, who inherited these puppets, regards the scorpion as a respectable senior puppet master. Kankuro, you seldom operate this pair of puppets before, I can feel your unfamiliarity. Scorpion is very familiar with and sensitive to puppets. Compared with the previous black ants and pepperfish, Kankuro operates, father, and mother, can be said to be a lot worse, revealing too many flaws, and each flaw is enough for the scorpion to smash them. However, although there are many such opportunities, the scorpion still holds back. Well, this is the first time that a humanoid puppet has been manipulated, and it's very difficult to control two at the same time. Kankuro couldn't even care about wiping the sweat off his face, so he could only concentrate on dealing with the scorpion. Ninja. Sand and iron Shiyu. Scorpion once again condensed the sand and iron into bullet-sized high-density particles, aimed at Chengjuro and Tamari in the air, and fired them out. Oops. Kankuro hurriedly pulled the father and mother puppets back to him, blocked the father puppet in front of him, and the mother puppet in front of Tamari, and then released chakra to condense them on the surface of the 2 puppets. A very hard chakra shield was formed. Miraculously, the chakra shield was not broken under the high-intensity continuous attack of sand and iron rain. So close. Kankuro breathed a sigh of relief, and sighed in his heart that the father and mother, improved by Chiyo's mother-in-law, were really powerful. The shield composed of special materials combined with chakra actually resisted the attack of sand-iron bullets. However, it is still too early to relax. The crisis is not over yet. The scorpion launched a special ninjutsu to restrain the puppet. Sand-iron scattered attack. Sand-iron was not gathered this time, but did not make any changes. Like fog, Asuka, Kankuro and the others drifted away. This kind of ninjutsu has no time to escape. The bodies of father and mother were invaded by tiny sand and iron, destroying their joints and organs in their bodies, and instantly fell to the ground. No matter what Kankuro did, he still couldn't move. The iron sand mist was still spreading towards them, and Tamari opened the giant fan to blow them back again, and she fell to the ground exhausted. Tamari. Kankuro yelled, "It's okay. It's no big deal, it's just that the chakra is almost exhausted and I don't have the strength." Tamari smiled bitterly. "Sorry, I'm holding you back." "Don't say things like that." Kankuro looked up at Scorpion after speaking, and quietly twisted his fingers in his hand as he spoke. "You have done your best. After all, the other party is someone who can conquer a country with only one person's strength. It is not a shame to be defeated by him." Quote. "If it's touching, please wait until you die." Scorpion raised his hand with indifference, and continued to control the 3 generations of Fungiying puppets to attack. Ninja. Black secret technique. Saw-toothed arm. Kankuro launched his ninjutsu at the right moment, and suddenly summoned a black ant puppet from the left side of Scorpion's body. The black ant is the second puppet used by Kankuro, with a head as long as a horse, red horns and 6 arms, and a body with a huge volume specially designed to capture prey. At this time, Kankuro used the black ant to pop the serrations on his arm, and hugged him without the scorpion noticing it. The scorpion that was stuck by the sawtooth was a little surprised. When did the black ants come to him? Is it going to be invisible? Impossible, there is no such material in the world, and even if it can be invisible, when he comes over, he will notice something strange no matter what. Scorpion recalled the process of fighting with Kankuro just now. Both were puppet masters attacking from a distance, and there was no chance for close combat. Etc. Scorpion suddenly thought that the father and mother had indeed rushed in front of him just now. Could it be that Konkuro put the scroll for summoning the black ant puppet on one of the father and mother from the very beginning, and then threw the scroll beside him while he was not paying attention during the battle just now? It seems that I underestimate you. Scorpion actually laughed. He said, "It's really not ordinary. At your age, there should be no one who is stronger than you among the puppet masters. Whether it is manipulation technology or tactics, the mind is the best." Quote. It's not easy. I'm very grateful to be praised by seniors. Konkuro tried hard to calm his pounding heartbeat. From the very beginning, he took this plan as a last-ditch effort. If he failed, the consequences would be disastrous. But don't worry so much now, the scorpion has been caught, and it is impossible to escape. I will continue to work hard, senior. Black Secret Skills. 2 bursts. As Konkuro continued to manipulate the black ant puppet, he stuffed the scorpion into his large enough body and then closed it up, cutting the scorpion's body directly with the blade inside the black ant. Although the black ant is an auxiliary puppet, it can only exert its maximum ability with the crow, but this does not mean that the auxiliary puppet cannot fight. At this time Tamari also stood up from the ground and said with a smile, "As expected, my acting skills are terrible." I almost laughed. "At least I lied to Scorpion." Konkuro said, "The next step is up to you." Understood. Tamari waved the giant fan and released ninjutsu, Wind Escape. Wind Cut. The sharp, wind cut off the chakra line used by the scorpion to connect the 3 generations of wind shadow puppets, and then she did not stop, and continued to use ninjutsu, Wind Done. Wind Killing Array. She injected chakra into the wind to form a vacuum airflow that enveloped the 3 generations of wind shadow puppets, and the knife-cutting attack lasted for a long time, cutting the 3 generations of wind shadow puppets directly into pieces. At the same time, the black ants controlled by Konkuro also stopped attacking, because no one could come out of the black ants alive. Chapter 391. The Last Trick. Just when Konkuro was about to open the black ant puppet to clean up the corpse of the scorpion, he noticed something was wrong. Why didn't the blood of the scorpion flow out of the puppet? Tamari also noticed something different, and took out the fan that had been put away, ready to attack. Time passed by, and the hearts of the 2 of them were in their throats, and they didn't even dare to exhale. Suddenly, the black ant puppet began to vibrate violently, and Konkuro struggled to suppress the restless power from its body, but to no avail. The black ants began to be out of his control. At this moment, a sharp, fast-rotating gear suddenly rushed out of the black ant's body. As the gear circled around the black ant's body, it was cut in half. After the scorpion came out of the black ant's body, his body was full of wounds cut by blades, some of which were deep enough to be fatal, but there was no bleeding from these wounds, and it looked like a puppet was injured. Is he also a puppet? Konjiro was shocked by the scorpion in front of him. He didn't expect that the scorpion would actually make himself a puppet. Could this be the realm pursued by a generation of puppet masters? Konkuro doesn't understand. Konkuro, this is no longer human. Tamari also asked in surprise. Well, it seems that this is the body of the scorpion, and he is also a puppet. Konkuro said. Do you have any other puppets with you? Don't hide it at this time, take it out and deal with it. Tamari shouted. The black ant was the last one just now, and it's gone. Konkuro said desperately, all my puppets have been destroyed by the scorpion, and it's useless. Scorpion looked at them and said slowly, to actually destroy the 3 generations of Fengiying, my most proud collection, and force me to be like this, since joining Shao, this is the first time I have fought in this form, which is really impressive. Excited. Although he said this, there was no expression on his face, it was really like a puppet, and the expressionless scorpion looked chilling at this moment. Scroll. Flame Prison Array. Scorpion uses the scroll of fire to spray flames with ultra-high temperature and melting power from the pipe in the palm of his hand. As long as he controls the chakra, he can change the shape and attack strength of the flame at will. When the strength is increased, the enemy can be baked into ashes, and when the strength is decreased, it can be changed into a direct fire, which can instantly turn steel and rocks into dissolved water. The huge flames rushed towards Kankuro and Tamari along with the heat wave, and they hurriedly hid behind a large rock. The fire wolf was divided in two by the rock and whizzed directly past them on both sides. Soon, even the rocks became hot and the air around them evaporated. Kankuro and Tamari began to have difficulty breathing and became depressed. "What should I do?" Kankuro asked. "If he kept breathing fire like this, we would be cooked." "There's only one fight." Tamari picked up the giant fan, nodded to Kankuro, then stood up and faced the fire-breathing scorpion. Wind escape. Tornado hurricane. She injected the remaining chakra into the wind to form a super large tornado to carry out a wrapping attack. This attack has a wide range and a long duration. It can also create a vacuum effect, allowing the fire to escape, and sound and other ninjutsu are all invalid. It is an upgraded version of wind escape. Wind killing array. Soon, the huge tornado blew away all the flames of the scorpion and moved towards the scorpion. Because it consumes a part of the wind when fighting against the flame, when the tornado is attacked by the scorpion, the scale of the tornado is no longer the same as before. Attack of the wind cut. However, it is enough to deal with the scorpion as a puppet. Because since it is a puppet, his body joints must be dismantled. Therefore, it is not as strong as the human body. Even if it is connected by chakra lines, it loses the protective effect of the human body's meridians and ligaments, and it is easy to be dismembered. Sure enough, the scorpion that was attacked by the wind was easily dismembered, and the head and limbs were all blown away by the wind, and each fell to one side. Holding the giant fan, sweating profusely, she has reached the limit of her physical strength. "I finally succeeded." Kankuro hurriedly stood up to help her, and asked with concern, "Are you okay?" "It's just that I've consumed too much chakra, and I'll be fine." Tamari forced a smile, and didn't forget to joke. "How is it? How was the performance this time?" "Don't be brave." Of course Kankuro knew that Tamari wasn't acting. He felt sorry for his sister for being so tired, and for a while he felt a little guilty. However, at this moment, a click sound came from the corpse of the scorpion not far away, as if a scythe from hell was rubbing against the ground, making people instantly fall into the abyss of fear. A cylinder with the word "Scorpion" floated up from the ruins, and then reinserted into the empty position on the upper left of the scorpion's torso, and then all the limbs and heads in the rest of the body twisted as if they had been ordered. Within seconds it was back on the scorpion's torso. "Scorpion, resurrected again. I didn't expect you to force me to use the last nirvana." Scorpion's face finally showed an expression. He said with a sneer, "If that's the case, then I will use you after death as my puppet." Affirmation of your abilities. Red secret skill. Hundreds of machines exercise. This is the final lore launched by the scorpion in the state of the body puppet. It uses the scroll to summon hundreds of puppets wearing red robes to participate in the battle, and each puppet uses a different weapon. And their actions are all controlled by the cylindrical, artificial heart, labeled as a scorpion inside the scorpion. Because the artificial heart is used to control the puppet, the scorpion turns on a switch on the right side of the chest and shoots hundreds of chakra lines from it. Even without finger manipulation, he can reflect his own will on the movements of the hundreds of puppets, and these puppets are extremely powerful, and Scorpion once used them to destroy a country. The ability of a puppet master is measured by the number of puppets that can be manipulated. The number of fingers can only control 10 puppets, which is already the limit of ordinary puppet masters. Now in the ninja world, people who can operate 10 puppets are only Scorpion's grandmother. Chio's mother-in-law is alone. From this, it can be seen that the scorpion who can control 100 puppets has reached the peak of his puppet technique, which shows how terrifying his strength is. At this moment, there were an astonishing number of puppets floating in the sky. Kankuro and Tamari saw this battle. Although they didn't say it, they were already desperate for this battle. Is this the ability to destroy a country? Kankuro said dumbfounded. It's an honor to be killed by such a technique. Chapter 392. Reinforcements are coming. Just as Scorpion was controlling several puppets to attack Kankuro and Tamari, a wall of fire suddenly appeared in front of them, burning the puppets to ashes. It's finally here in time. Zhang Yang turned a somersault in front of Konkuro, landed in a perfect posture, and said casually, "It's alright, then you can watch my performance." After he finished speaking, he launched ninjutsu on several puppets that were about to rush in front of him. Fire escape. How about fireball? The puppets are afraid of fire, they have nothing to do in front of Zhang Yang's fire, and they are burned to ashes. But what is strange is that even with such an obvious disadvantage, the scorpion still only controls a few puppets to attack Zhang Yang. Is it consuming his chakra? Zhang Yang also noticed something was wrong with the scorpion, but he didn't care, even if it was for the purpose of consuming chakra, he only consumed the chakra of Folang. With just a few hundred puppets, it didn't cost Folang how much chakra at all. On the contrary, it was scorpion. If it was futile again and again, his puppet would be burned. Finally, the scorpion stopped wasteful attacks when there were more than 60 puppets left, and then controlled all the puppets to attack Zhang Yang. Konkuro, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, finally understood Scorpion's intention when he saw Scorpion launch all the puppet attacks. He was not consuming the flamboyant chakra, but his own puppets. The more puppets there are, the more distracting the puppet master is, so he reduces the number of them, which improves his control. Be careful, the remaining puppets are difficult to deal with, their speed and strength are increasing. Konkuro reminded, and their blades must be poisonous, so don't get hurt. Understood. Zhang Yang agreed while launching his ninjutsu, Huo Dun. How fireball technique. However, these puppets obviously did not attack like the previous cannon fodder. They spread before the fireball technique was launched, forming a spherical encircling attack on Zhang Yang. Sure enough, Zhang Yang also noticed that the abilities of these puppets were greatly improved. While dodging the attacks of the puppets from all directions, he launched a new ninjutsu, Huo Dun. The art of Huo Long. The fire dragon was released from Zhang Yang's mouth, opening his mouth wide. A dozen puppets were smashed in a row. But at this moment, Zhang Yang, who controlled the fire dragon, failed to get behind him, and was stabbed into his arm by a puppet with a ninja knife. Zhang Yang felt a sharp pain, then quickly turned around and kicked the puppet away, pulled out the ninja sword inserted in his arm, and threw it on the ground. It's over, it's over, it's over. Zhang Yang nervously manipulated the fire dragon to attack the puppet. While sweating profusely in his mouth, he said, "Can someone save me, I'm poisoned." With a helpless expression on his face, Fu Lang scolded, "You idiot, why did you get attacked?" Zhang Yang was also anxious, and retorted, "Am I being careless? Besides, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you help me block it? Or remind me?" Fu Lang coughed twice in embarrassment, and said absently, "I'm not being careless." Zhang Yang scolded, "You are careless with a feather duster. It's clearly intentional. Do you want to get out of my body? Do you want to find that Lin Xiaoyu? You ungrateful thing." When Fu Lang heard this, he became anxious and asked, "Did you take the wrong medicine? Why are you suddenly suspicious? When did I say I was leaving you?" But soon, Fu Lang noticed that something was wrong with Zhang Yang. He didn't mean to say these words, but the poison had begun to paralyze his nerves, causing him to speak without thinking. Indeed, Zhang Yang started spinning in circles in a dizzy manner, seemingly attacking the puppet, but in fact he was throwing punches like a drunkard. In his eyes, the number of puppets suddenly increased sharply, from the original dozens to hundreds, and they were so mad that they fainted on the ground. Scorpion didn't have any nonsense, and controlled a puppet to raise a ninja knife and move towards Zhang Yang, ready to end his life. At the critical moment, I only heard a, "Go to hell." A girl with short pink hair suddenly appeared in front of Zhang Yang. She raised her fist and smashed it on the puppet, and the puppet flew directly out a dozen meters away. This person is. Tamari remembered who she was, and called out her name, Haruno Sakura. "It's finally here, are you all alright?" Sakura turned her head and said to them, "Leave it to me." Then she looked at Zhang Yang, who was lying on the ground and foaming at his mouth, and called him immediately. "A shot of antidote. Is it Konoha's little devil?" Scorpion saw the forehead guard on Xiaoying's head and said, "It's useless to come, you don't know the composition of the toxin, it is impossible to detoxify, and if you use it indiscriminately, maybe he will die faster." Sakura asked without the slightest worry, "How do you know that I don't understand the composition of toxins?" Scorpion didn't speak anymore. He thought that the girl was just talking big. The purpose was to delay time and wait for other recruits. Scorpion would not give her a chance, so she continued to attack. "Kankuro, can you still move now?" Sakura asked. "Well, what's wrong?" Kankuro asked. "Connect my joints with chakra wires as my assistant." Sakura said, "I want to attack him at close range, so I need your help." This was the first time Kankuro heard about the method of manipulating people as puppets, but now was not the time to doubt. He immediately followed Sakura's instructions. After that, Sakura raised her fist, coldly Isho, and threw her fist at the puppet that had rushed in front of her. The huge strange force instantly shattered the puppets, and then she slammed into the pile of puppets and began to attack them with the fighting technique. Kankuro was shocked by Sakura's bold behavior, so he was more careful to assist her. Several times when the puppet was about to attack Sakura, Kankuro pulled the chakra wire to help her avoid the attack. "Well done, Kankuro," Sakura encouraged him while shaking her fist. "Let's smash all these puppets one by one." Zhang Yang, who had gradually improved, recovered a little bit of consciousness, but his head was still dizzy. He saw Sakura who was fighting and the empty antidote dropped by his side, and immediately realized what happened. It seems that he has finally arrived. Fortunately, when he and Shikamaru analyzed the abilities and shortcomings of the members of the Akatsuki organization, he told him the ingredients of the antidote needed to fight against the scorpion, and it really came in handy. Everyone else should have rushed here. Zhang Yang thought so, and then fell asleep with confidence. Chapter 393. Die in the Arms of Parents. With the help of Kankuro, Sakura used her strange power to smash all the remaining puppets in succession, but Sakura wasn't much better. She was left with several scars by the puppets, all relying on the antidote to support her. This can't be blamed for the ineffectiveness of Kankuro's support. He really tried his best, because the fewer the number of puppets, the better the scorpion's manipulation skills. The speed, strength and combat skills have been greatly improved, so he and Sakura are also fighting more and more strenuous. However, all the puppets have finally been cleaned up, and now there is only one scorpion body to deal with. In fact, Sakura's antidote has been used up. If she can't defeat Scorpion in a short period of time, she will also faint because the poison is not controlled. Therefore, she put all the last chance on this punch. She must knock down the Scorpion. Then Sakura rushed to the body of the Scorpion, preparing for the last fight. Originally, Red Secret Technique. 100 Machines Exercise, should be Scorpion's last nirvana, but to everyone's surprise, he still has ninjutsu that he has yet to perform. Scroll. Acute Eclipse. From the pipe in the Scorpion palm, a powerful impact, corrosive and highly poisonous water column was sprayed. The chakra produced by his artificial heart could adjust the size of the water column at will. If the water column is increased, it will hit the opponent like a flood, and if the water column is reduced, it will cut objects like a laser. This sudden move made Sakura unable to guard against it. She could only raise her arm urgently to block the water column. Kankuro, who was behind, also tried her best to move Sakura to the left to avoid the water column, but the effect was not ideal. Sakura's right shoulder was still sprayed a little by the water jet. Although the amount was small, it was enough to cause her to lose her ability to attack. The buttocks on Xiao Ying's shoulders began to rot. She endured the severe pain to heal the wound, and managed to control the spread of the toxin. At this time, the scorpion had come to him like a god of death. "Go to hell, all of you will be made into collectibles by me to express my affirmation of your abilities." Scorpion picked up the puppet's ninja sword and stabbed Sakura's body fiercely. Tamari was so frightened that she hurriedly closed her eyes when she heard the sound of a ninja knife being inserted into the human body. When she squinted to peek at the situation in front of her, she saw a scene that surprised her. The puppets, father, and mother, who were supposed to be corroded by sand iron, came to the scorpion's side at some point. They held a knife in their hands and inserted them into the scorpion's artificial heart, one after another. Above. Tamari turned to look at Kankuro, and sure enough, he saw that the chakra lines on his two hands were connected to the father and mother, but how did he do it? Kankuro saw Tamari's doubts and explained to her. After Sakura was injured just now, I connected the chakra wire to the two puppets, opened their joints, and simply shook them twice to clean up the parts. After sanding the iron, they controlled them to attack the scorpion, but luckily they caught up. Quote. At this moment, Scorpion looked at the parents on the left and right of him with a horrified expression, feeling the severe pain from the heart, and said softly, Dad. Mom. Then there was no movement. When the crisis was over, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Sakura stood up with difficulty, and hurriedly went to check Jongyang, who was still lying on the ground. How are you? Sakura asked. My chest is so stuffy, I feel like there is a stone stuck in my throat, I can't breathe at all. Jongyang opened his eyes and made a very hoarse voice. But this was all pretending to be publicity. In fact, he was fine for a long time. He just wanted to make a joke for Xiaoying. He continued to frown and said with a painful expression, Quick. Give me artificial respiration. Quote. Xiaoying, who was really worried about Jongyang before, immediately understood Zhang Yang's tricks after hearing the latter sentence, and sneered, Okay, you wait. After speaking, she punched Zhang Yang's face. Anyway, hearing Zhang Yang's screams, he knew how heavy she was. Afterwards, Sakura went to treat Kankuro and Tamari again, and Zhang Yang asked while wiping his nosebleed, Sakura, why did you come to the Iron Country? Who told you that something happened here? No one sent us a letter. Sakura shook her head and said, it was said by the female member of Xiao's organization. Sakura recounts what happened. In the interrogation room, Xiaonan asked Jiraiya Hokage if he wanted to hold the Five Shadows meeting. Jiraiya told her that she was already on the way, and Xiaonan immediately told him that all this was Uchiha Obito's plan. After Dazo and Obito reached a secret agreement, he became the human Zuli of the giant beast White Wolf, and was then sent to Konoha village by Obito to destroy it. The purpose of this is to attract the attention of other big countries, and everyone has discussed why there are other tailed beasts other than Nine Tails in Konoha village, so Hokage has to hold 5 shadow talks to refute the rumor. So the members of the Xiao organization, except Pain Ludao and Xiaonan, all the rest will rush to the country of iron. Their purpose is to wipe out the 5 shadows. However, considering that Wying is not an ordinary person, their strength should not be underestimated, so Obito proposed to win Orochimaru to join the team during this process. In this way, he can have a steady stream of tough troops by virtue of his reincarnation, especially to the god of ninjas like the first Naruto Senju Shima and the founder of the Uchiha family Madara Uchiha. Such ninjas joined the battle, 5 shadows must die. That's why Orochimaru and Pain fought before, but there were also unexpected things during the period, such as why Orochimaru knew the abilities and weaknesses of Pain's 6 paths, and Uchiha Obito's identity was exposed. These are not understood by Xiaonan. Hearing this, Jongyang seemed to understand something, and some messy clues began to emerge in his mind, but when he wanted to grasp them and find out, these clues disappeared. But what is certain is that Uchiha Obito wanted to win over Orochimaru before, but the latter was a fanatic who pursued science and was unwilling to be involved in the matter of fighting and killing, so Obito would be against him. Come hard. There are 2 factors in the battle between them. One is that Obito needs Orochimaru's ability to reincarnate in the dirt, and the other is that Obito needs Naruto and Sasuke to disappear in this battle. After all, both of them are reincarnations of the sons of 6 Paths Immortals, possessing the power of 6 Paths and the ability to seal Kagaya Otsutsuki. The only doubt that Jongyang can't figure out is Uchiha Obito. He should have learned the truth of Rin's death through Dazo long ago. It wasn't because of Kakashi. Why would he be so resentful that he wanted to kill the 5 shadows to start a war? Chapter 394. The past is like the wind. Could it be that Dazo hid this fact? Zhang Yang is still at a loss, and he doesn't understand what these people are thinking, but if you want to know the truth behind all this, you can only ask the person concerned to ask clearly. Xiao Sakura, I am leaving first, you continue to treat Konkuro and Tamari. Zhang Yang knew that the situation was urgent and could not be delayed for a moment, so he left without waiting for Sakura to respond. The next battle area he will go to is the so-called party, Uchiha Obito. It is said that after Obito and Kakashi met, the two former friends did not seem to have much to say. Kakashi was out of guilt. Lin really died at his hands back then, and Obito was probably out of guilt for misunderstanding Kakashi. The two of them were thinking the same thing about each other. Time was fixed at the Battle of Kamabashi Bridge, when Kakashi was only 12 years old and had just become the youngest Jonin. One of his teammates is Uchiha Itachi, a boy from the Uchiha family, and the other is a kind and careful girl Rin. When he was a child, Uchiha Obito was a timid boy who was prone to crying. He was often ridiculed by Kakashi as a crybaby, and Uchiha Obito was also very disliked by Kakashi's arrogant and cold character, and often had disputes with him. However, Uchiha Obito thought that Kakashi was born to be so annoying at the time. It was not until later that for some reason, he realized that Kakashi became what he is now. Hagi Sakumo, known as the genius ninja, Konoha White Fang. Kakashi's father, Konoha Shiroya, is a very amazing ninja who often completes tasks well and has a certain reputation and status in Konoha village. But later in a mission, Konoha Whiteya chose to give up the mission in order to save his companions, resulting in huge losses to the village. As a result, he was hated by the villagers, and even those who had been rescued by him blamed him in turn. Later, Konoha Baya, who had been brilliant in his life, committed suicide with hatred. The young Kakashi witnessed his father die in front of him, and it was a huge blow to his heart. Since then, Kakashi has become indifferent and started to complete the task as a ninja's creed, sometimes in order to complete the task. A mission, even at the expense of his companions. It is with this gloomy thought that Kakashi has no friends among his peers, and he trains as a whole to survive, thus becoming Konoha's youngest joinin. In the Battle of Kanabi Bridge, Lin was captured by the enemy during the mission, and Obito asked to rescue Lin immediately. However, Kakashi thought of what happened to his father. Those who were rescued in turn slandered him, the villagers blamed him, etc. In order not to repeat the same mistakes, he and Obito held the opposite opinion, saying that they should complete the task first and then save Lin, and also said to Obito that things like feelings are just a stumbling block in the execution of the mission. Facing Kakashi's attitude, Obito was very angry. He resolutely went to the enemy to save Lin, turned his back to Kakashi before leaving and said to him, "Those who violate the rules can be called trash." However, people who don't know how to cherish their companions are not as good as trash. Konoha White Fang is the real hero. It was the first time he heard someone praise his father as a hero. Although Kakashi had no expression on the surface, he was moved and shaken in his heart. He hesitated, and finally changed his mind because of Obito's last sentence and decided to go save your partner first. Kakashi, who arrived in time, arbitrarily used the underdeveloped ninjutsu, Reiki, in order to save Obito, causing the movement to be too fast to see the opponent's attack. After successfully rescuing Rin and on the way back, Obito was crushed by a boulder to save Kakashi. Kakashi desperately wanted to break the boulder that was holding Obito, but was stopped by Obito with a smile. At the last moment, he asked Lin to use medical ninjutsu to transplant his newly opened blood wheel eye to Kakashi on the injured left eye, and said to him, "I hope that I will be your left eye, which can help you see the future clearly." After that, the enemy surrounded them again, and because of Kakashi's blood wheel eyes with soil, he could use the fully developed ninjutsu, Rachel, and resisted until their teacher Namaifung Minato came. On this day of the Battle of Kamabashi Bridge, two heroes with blood eyes appeared in Konoha village. One of them was engraved on the memorial tablet, and the other was the famous, Copy Ninja, in the ninja world. Kakashi. Shortly after this battle, Kakashi and Lin were attacked by Kirin. At that time, Rin, who had already been implanted by Kirin and Neoshifu, chose to die in Kakashi's house to protect Konoha from being attacked by the tailed beast. Under Rachel. First Obito, then Rin, Kakashi, who had lost 2 companions in a row, was hit hard, and suffered from continuous nightmares both physically and mentally. Later, Kakashi's teacher, Minato Namikaze, suggested that he join Konoha's Anbu in order to get him out of this depressed state, so Kakashi also began his Anbu career. Kakashi, who entered Anbu, was arranged by Minato to take care of the Vortex Kushina who was pregnant. Kakashi completed the task well until the birth of Naruto, and Minato and Kushina sacrificed to protect the village. At this stage, Kakashi would never have thought that the Obito who died in front of him was actually still alive and had been secretly observing everything about him. It turned out that the place where Obito's accident happened was not far from Uchiha Madara's stronghold, so Obito was rescued by Madara. Madara used the cells of Sensho Hasuma to fill the right half of his body that was crushed by the boulder, and bewitched Obito as he served. For the next few years, Obito stayed by Madara's side for rehabilitation training, until one day, Baiju suddenly appeared and told him that Kakashi and Lin Jen were being attacked by the Mist Ninja, and their lives were in danger. Obito hurried to rescue them, but when he arrived at his destination, he witnessed Kakashi's Chidori piercing through Lin's chest. Shocked, Kakashi and Obito's 2 blood wheel eyes opened the kaleidoscope blood wheel eye at the same time, and then Kakashi passed out. Lin, who had lost her mind, started a killing spree and slaughtered all the Kirin Anbu present at the scene. When the surrounding corpses were everywhere and the rain continued to wash away the blood on the ground, Obito stroked Lin's face with his hand and let out a heart-piercing roar. Since then, Obito, who saw his companions cannibalizing, was completely blackened in his heart. He returned to Madara Uchiha and approved Madara's thoughts and Moon's Eye plan. Use the chakra of the 10 tails to launch illusions on the entire ninja world. Infinite monthly reading. Control all human beings to create a beautiful world without war and eternal peace, and Lin will also be resurrected in this world. Chapter 395. The Showdown of Former Companions. Later, Madara taught Obito the technique of yin and yang escape and the 6 paths, and injected his own will into Hakuju to form Black Ju, to assist Obito, and let Obito inherit the name of Uchiha Madara, and started step-by-step take control of the Shao organization and go in the direction of the Moon Eye plan. One day later, a stranger with a beheading sword found Obito, claiming that he wanted to ask Obito to borrow a tailed beast. The beheading sword was originally the first of the 7 ninja knives in the ninja world. It can absorb the iron element in the enemy's blood and repair itself. It is called a knife that will never break. Obito first knew that the owner of the beheading sword was Loquat Juzo, a member of the Yuan Shao organization. Later, it was taken by Man-Demon Taoji Zaibuji from the Anbu of Kurigaku, and now the person standing in front of Obito thought that he would not behead again. However, when he reported his name, Obito realized that he had made a mistake, and his name was originally called Dazang. I'm not interested in your so-called Eye of the Moon plan. I just want to use the tailed beast to complete my mission, and then it will disappear from you. Obito's remarks shocked Obito. If Baiju and Heiju were the same person, there would not be more than 3 people in this world who knew about the Moon's Eye plan, so how did Dazo know about it? Out of prudence, Obito did not directly agree to Dazo's request, nor did he fight him, but asked him to give him a reason that would convince him. After that, Dazo told Obito about some of the endings of the Naruto world, including how the Akatsuki organization went to ruin step by step, how the 4th Ninja War was launched, and after Obito possessed the power of the 6 paths, he was persuaded by Naruto, and then Otsutsuki. Kagaya was sealed by Naruto and Sasuke, etc. Of course, he didn't tell Obito any more details, such as how Madara Uchiha used Kirin to frame Rin in order to use it as a bargaining chip to prevent Obito from suddenly turning back. Later, Obito decided to help Dazo, but not for free, but to let him exchange the tail beast on the condition of assisting him in completing the Moon Eye plan. After Obito learned of his final defeat, he was determined to rewrite the ending. It started with the 5 Shadows talks. He teamed up with Dazo to use the giant white wolf, a psychic beast of the White Wolf Village, to harass Konoha, which led to the successful holding of the Five Shadows talks. He teamed up with Nagato to win Orochimaru and so on. However, things will always change. During the period when Obito's assistant Nagato forcibly attracted Orochimaru, for some reason, Nagato suddenly realized that he was not Madara Uchiha, and he dealt with him together with Konan. At first, Obito thought it was Dazo who was in the middle of a ghost, so he didn't want to fight. However, just as Obito was about to start, another person who knew everything appeared, and she was Lin Xiaoyu. Obito, since you already know Madara Uchiha is the real murderer, why can't you let go of the hatred in your heart? Starting a war will only make more people die in the war like Rin. Kakashi said. Stop being obsessive, Obito. Kakashi, you don't understand at all, the world is cursed, all dreams are cursed, the so-called peace is just a hypocritical surface, the bloody reality is hidden by people. But the strong stench it emits can still be felt by me. Obito said, if you stop the world's peace, then there is only one dead end. It seems that this battle cannot be avoided. Kakashi nodded to Kai next to him and asked, remember our plan? Remember, Kakashi, Kai said, let's get started. After saying that, Kai took out a nunchuck from behind and rushed towards Obito. In the same way, Obito also ran towards Kai, and at the moment Kai's nunchaku touched his head, Obito activated his Divine Might ninjutsu, and the nunchaku passed through his head. At this moment, Obito stretched out his hand to grab Kai's neck, but Kai's leg had already kicked Obito, but he had no choice but to put his hand through Kai's body. When Obito's entire body completely passed through Kai's body, he turned around and prepared to attack, but something that puzzled him happened. Kai actually disappeared from his eyes out of thin air. Obito immediately looked at Kakashi and found that he was running towards him at the moment. Although he didn't understand where Kai went, Obito couldn't take it lightly, so he had to maintain the mode of Kamui and wait for Kakashi's attack. Kakashi rushed in front of Obito and attacked Obito with his bare hands. No doubt his fist pierced through Obito's chest. Useless Kakashi, you can't hurt me at all. Obito sneered. Really? Kakashi asked rhetorically. Obito was still wondering where Kakashi's confidence came from. At this moment, a sudden sharp pain came from his chest. Obito was unable to guard against it and fell to the ground. What on earth is it? Why can Kakashi attack his own body? Wrong. This pain is not caused by the fist. It seems to have succeeded. Kakashi explained. All thanks to Zhang Yang. He knows the secret that your body can pass through any object, that is Kamui. We are both of the same wheel eye, so the powers are the same. I can move objects to another dimension, and you can move your body to another dimension, so you just moved Kai to that dimension with Kamui? Obito asked in surprise. That's right, so now as long as you use ninjutsu, Kai can attack your body, Kakashi said. Hehe, then don't let you touch my body. Obito stood up from the ground, quickly backed away from Kakashi, and launched a ninjutsu, Fire Escape. How to use Fireball. The powerful fireball attacked Kakashi. He hurriedly formed a seal, slapped the ground with both hands, and launched a ninjutsu, done. Earth Flow Wall. Kakashi soared into the air, took out Kuu from his waist and threw it towards Obito. Obito was also smart, and instead of letting Kuu pass through his body directly, he activated his divine power to teleport him to another dimension. Kai, who was in a different dimension, held his nunchucks in both hands and looked around, nervously staring at the part of Obito's body that would appear, but he didn't appear after waiting for a long time. At this moment, a few kunai fell from the top of his head, and Kai was startled. He looked at the empty surroundings and became afraid in his heart. Kakashi. Kai swallowed. I suddenly remembered, you can send me in, but can you take me back? Kakashi. Help. Chapter 396. Kurabi vs Uchiha Itachi. At this time, Rabbi Yutai, who was retreating and practicing in Yunlei Gorge, suddenly received a notice that Reikage had been attacked by Akatsuki in the Iron Country and needed to send reinforcements immediately. Yo, big brother was attacked, I'm so happy. Leave Yunlei Gorge and go to the concert. Yo, Chirabi rapped and descended the steps, but stopped when he was halfway, because in the a strange man appeared below him. This man was wearing a red cloud black robe, wind chimes and hats, and there were 2 deep nasolabial lines on his face. Who? Kurabi asked with a proud look on his face. Yao, I'm here to take you away. Uchiha Itachi said softly. The tone is not small, the background is not small, yo. Chirabi said. This uncle is in a hurry to go to the concert, and I have no time to play with you here. If you are sensible, leave quickly before I change my mind. You stupid. You bastard. Itachi ignored him, but took off his hat and activated the 3-hooked jade bloodwheel eye, ready to take tough measures. Kurabi has also heard about the bloodwheel eye, and it is said that it is one of the 3 major pupil techniques and has a strong illusion. However, he is the most perfect person. How could he be afraid of illusions? Seeing that Itachi seems to be about to start, he said, in that case, arrogant child, this uncle will play with you, you idiot. You bastard. As he spoke, Kurabi took out the 7 knives on his back, threw them into the air, and when he was about to land, he grabbed them with his hands, arms, mouth, legs, etc. and sang, dance, dance like a butterfly. After that, Kurabi rushed to Uchiha Itachi at a fast speed and attacked him with the 7 knives on his body with the fighting technique. And Itachi is just a kunai in his hand to compete with him. Although he can see Kurabi's sword swing with his bloody eyes, he can't guess the routine of his swing because he is completely free to attack. There is no formula at all. Itachi could only defend carefully and could not attack Kurabi. Soon, his arms, chest and cheeks were cut by Kurabi's sharp knife. Kurabi's 7-knife flow is extremely superb. He can even shoot the knives like a hidden weapon in the air, collect them quickly after landing, and switch between long distance and short distance freely. He is simply a master ninja who plays knives. After maintaining such an unrelenting continuous attack for a while, Kurabi found Itachi's flaw and fired 3 knives at his chest, directly piercing his body, and then kicked him. Itachi kicked out 12 meters away. I still have the energy, the charm shines, and the 8-tailed Kurabi is me, yeah. Kurabi cheered with rap. However, another strong voice in his body said to him at this time, Idiot, you have fallen into an illusion and haven't moved since just now. Chirabi was stunned, sweat on his face, and he said embarrassingly, Stupid 8-tails, stupid bull ghost, why didn't you tell me earlier? I've been embarrassed. Cut, it's not that you are too complacent. Yao said. Don't be careless, this person in front of him is not simple, his illusion is very superb, and he has other abilities that he has not brought out. You have to be careful. I see, you idiot. You bastard. Chirabi rapped as he walked down the steps. The battle is about to start, the uncle is about to play. At this moment, a girl with short red hair suddenly appeared from behind the rock on the other side. She pushed the glasses on the bridge of her nose, and then clapped her hands. Chen Zan said, as expected of the most perfect human pillar, illusion is really useless for you. Who? Seeing another stranger, Chirabi was still an unarmed little girl, and felt very strange. This girl is not simple. Where are you? You're over the top. Lin Xiaoyu laughed, and then said to him, but even if you're complimenting me, you still have to come with me. Itachi Uchiha, the rest is called here it is, I'll be a spectator next to me. After speaking, Lin Xiaoyu walked to a safe place and sat down to observe their battle. Next, Uchiha Itachi took off Akatsuki's black robe and said to Kurabi, I'm going to be serious next. Fire escape. Phoenix Immortal Fire Technique. Just like the original immortal flower seeds that flew out of the missile at a touch, the flames spewed out of Itachi's mouth spread out in all directions, attacking Kurabi. Kurabi threw all the 7 swords at Uchiha Itachi while retreating to avoid the attack. Uchiha Itachi quickly changed the seal and launched a ninjutsu, Fire Escape. Impatience Claw Red Technique. He hid the shuriken in the fire escape and launched it, just bounced all 7 of Kurabi's knives, and Huodun's attack still spread to Kurabi. I can't do anything, I can only dodge. Kurabi adjusted his posture, lowered his body, and rushed towards Uchiha Itachi under the flames, then swung his fist and smashed at him. In an instant, Uchiha Itachi transformed the three-hooked jade blood wheel eye into a kaleidoscope blood wheel eye, and opened the third power that resided in the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, Susanoo. Immediately after, a large amount of chakra overflowed from the body, forming an orange-red giant posture, with absolute defense and unparalleled attack power. Kurabi's punch didn't hurt Itachi in the slightest. Instead, seeing his peculiar ninjutsu, he also launched his big move, Tailed Beast Transformation. Susanoo, who stretched out huge octopus tentacles from Kurabi's body, wrapped around Uchiha Itachi, and he was not satisfied with this, and activated the Tail Beast to his complete body. 8 tails with the body of a huge bull-headed octopus appeared, wrapped around Susanoo, and then the 8 tails opened their mouths, compressing the yin and yang chakras into spherical tailed beast bombs at a ratio of 2:8, aiming at Uchiha Itachi. And Uchiha Itachi manipulated Susanoo to block the 8-foot mirror in his left hand in front of the tailed beast bullet. This incorporeal aegis can bounce back all attacks, but Itachi is not sure whether it is also effective against the tailed beast bullet. Lin Xiaoyu, who was on the side, saw this formation, and hurriedly ran away. The attack of the tailed beast bomb would definitely affect her, but after she ran 2 steps, she remembered that the attack of this world did not hurt her at all. How could she forget about it when she got excited? Then she shook her head and laughed and continued to sit down to watch the battle between Uchiha Itachi and Yao. As the compressed-tailed beast bullet got bigger and bigger, it finally shot out from the mouth of the 8 tails and hit Uchiha Itachi's 8-foot mirror directly. A fierce white light flashed, and Lin Xiaoyu couldn't open his eyes. He only felt that the surrounding ground was shaking, the lake water on the side was shaken, and countless rock fragments whizzed past Lin Xiaoyu's body. Chapter 397, Lin Xiaoyu's Plan. The 8-tailed beast bullet was bounced back by Uchiha Itachi Susanoo's 8-foot mirror, and he was stunned and defeated. The shock wave created by the huge tailed beast bomb instantly destroyed the surrounding platform into ruins. Fortunately, Lin Xiaoyu was not affected. She saw Kurabi exit from the tailed beast mode and return to her body, while clapping and clapping. Walked towards Uchiha Itachi. As expected of the genius of the Uchiha family, he subdued the 8 tails so easily. Lin Xiaoyu said, "Okay, then let's go to the Temple of Fire to find the boy Sora who has 9-tailed chakra in his body." After speaking, Lin Xiaoyu left first, but just 2 steps away, she found that there was no movement behind her. She looked back, and Uchiha Itachi was standing there staring at her. "What's wrong?" Lin Xiaoyu asked. "It's nothing, it's just weird," Uchiha Itachi replied. "Strange. Is there any problem?" Lin Xiaoyu turned his whole body around, and his eyes became cold. "How did you make me listen to your arrangements? I can feel you've acted on me, but I can't find out what the problem is. It seems to be an illusion, but it doesn't seem to be." Uchiha Itachi said he's confused. "You said before that you wanted to go home, and the condition for going home is to destroy the world. I don't understand why I would help you." Lin Xiaoyu sneered and praised. "Besides a few of them, you are the first person to notice this problem. I admire it very much." "How many of them?" Uchiha Itachi asked. "Has anyone else fallen for your illusion before?" "Yes. Orochimaru, Nagato, Uchiha Obito, and you," Lin Xiaoyu said. "I'll tell you something. Anyway, I have plenty of time." When Lin Xiaoyu was teleported to the ninja world, after she got the task of destroying the world, she also had 2 options to assist her in completing the task. After thinking carefully, Lin Xiaoyu chose to make himself immune to all attacks in this world, and to change the settings of 3 people at will. That's right, it's to change the setting, not the illusion that Uchiha Itachi said. The first powerful ninja Lin Xiaoyu met was Orochimaru. She changed his settings so that he only wanted to serve himself. After that, Lin Xiaoyu told Orochimaru the secrets of the entire ninja world, including Kagaya Otsutsuki who stole the fruit of the god tree, and finally Naruto and Sasuke teamed up to seal her, so that Orochimaru could act accordingly when he acted on his own. In order to complete the task of destroying the world, Lin Xiaoyu first thought of a shortcut as Uchiha Madara's infinite moon reading plan, using 9-tailed beasts to summon 10 tails, and then restore the 10 tails to the body of the god tree, and use the moon to people all over the world start unlimited monthly reading, so that all people will be controlled by the divine tree, absorb all their energy, and finally die. As long as everyone dies, the task of destroying the world can be considered complete. However, in order to proceed more smoothly, Lin Xiaoyu first thought of eradicating the biggest threat, Naruto Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha. These two are the reincarnations of the sons of the Six Path Immortals. They have Yin Dun and Yang Dun, and can use the planetary devastation seal. Otsutsuki Kagaya. However, what surprised her was that she was not the only traverser in this world. Lin Xiaoyu, who was observing the situation in Bailong village outside Konoha village, discovered new traversers, Zhang Yang and Dazang. The appearance of these two people disrupted her original plan. But unexpectedly, Dazang actually secretly communicated with Obito. Lin Xiaoyu watched the process of the two of them joining forces to use the giant beast White Wolf to attack Konoha. At that time, Obito used this attack to promote the convening of the Five Shadows talks, and his attempt to make Xiao organization wipe out the Five Shadows in one fell swoop was also noticed by Lin Xiaoyu. She immediately realized that Dazo had told Obito about the world, so that Obito changed his attention and put aside the plan to collect the tailed beasts, and planned to kill the Five Shadows first. In this way, there is no conflict with Lin Xiaoyu's mission, and it's better to kill Wying, so as not to have extra stumbling blocks in the process of her completing the mission. Later, Lin Xiaoyu planned to let Orochimaru take Sasuke first, so Orochimaru was reincarnated into the second generation of Tsuchikage. This ninja could block his own breath, so that Konoha's ninja could not perceive that outsiders entered the village. Afterwards, the dirty soil changed into a Konoha ninja and sneaked into the village, secretly sending a letter to Sasuke, telling him that Orochimaru could help him gain power. The night before, Sasuke's brother Uchiha Itachi was taken away by Obito with Kamui. Sasuke was eager to save his brother, so he immediately set off for the Orochimaru base. During the period, Zhang Yang learned that Obito was going to rewrite the ending of Naruto, and he told Tsunade and others everything he knew about the world of Naruto. Then Tsunade immediately recalled Jiraiya and asked him to find a way to protect Naruto, and Jiraiya channeled Naruto to Miyagi Mountain and went to find Sasuke, and met Orochimaru. Orochimaru is just to make Sasuke disappear, in any case, as long as he does not appear in the next war. Jiraiya also took the lead to seal Sasuke into Toad's body with the sealing technique, and then let Toad go to Miaomu Mountain. In this way, Naruto and Sasuke both went to Miaomu Mountain, and it was considered that the previous plan was not delayed. However, the accident came again, and it was still Obito. He appeared with Nagato and Konan, the two backbones of the Akatsuki organization, and the purpose was to capture Sasuke. This made Lin Xiaoyu, who had been observing secretly, realize that Obito and Dazang were dangerous people, so when Obito used Blood Wheel Eyes to control Orochimaru and went to Jiraiya to snatch Sasuke, Lin Xiaoyu appeared in Pei in front of En, and through Pain's Rinnegan directly changed the manipulator behind him, Nagato. After knowing the exact location of Nagato, Lin Xiaoyu hurried over there to meet Nagato, but for some reason Obito suddenly appeared there, and was preparing to break Nagato's neck with divine might. Xiaoyu used the last setting and included Obito into the bag. In order to hide their strength, Lin Xiaoyu deliberately made them pretend that Nagato was twisted by Obito to break his neck, and then the three of them went to Obito's different dimension together to discuss the matter of starting a ninja war. The role of Nagato is only one: use the outward magic way to seal the power of the tailed beast, and then summon the 10 tails. In order to win enough worlds for him, Lin Xiaoyu first brought members of the Xiao organization to the scene of the Five Shadows meeting and officially announced the war. Then she entered the different dimension of Shinwei and began to convince Uchiha Itachi to help her capture the remaining tailed beasts. However, Uchiha Itachi was not so persuasive. In order to complete the plan, Lin Xiaoyu had to temporarily abandon the setting of Nagato, turn the target to Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 398, The Konoha Crisis. Do you have any questions now? Lin Xiaoyu asked Uchiha Itachi. If there is no problem, let's go and hand Yato to Nagato, and then hurry up and catch Jue. That guy named Dazo, what is his purpose? Uchiha Itachi asked. I heard that Obito said it was destroying Konoha. Lin Xiaoyu replied as he walked forward. Got it, Uchiha Itachi said and picked up Kurabi and followed behind her. When the two walked away, under the lake water of Yunlei Gorge, half of the tentacles of the huge octopus began to wriggle, and a person climbed out of it. It was Kurabi. It turned out that Kurabi threw half of the octopus tentacles into the lake in the chaos caused by the tailed beast bomb at the moment when he was hit by his own tailed beast bullet, and Kurabi was hiding in it. Kurabi's head emerged from the lake, and after observing privately for a while, he climbed out of the water and began to rap, Yo! This uncle has successfully escaped, and while eldest brother can't come back for the time being, hurry up to realize his dream and hold a concert, yo! Quote. And the 8 tails in his body were not happy, and scolded, idiot. The price I paid to get away is too high. Bull ghost cow ghost, thank you so much, yo! Kurabi rapped, swinging his body. Idiot, Yahweh scolded. Did you not hear the conversation between the two just now? They seem to have started a ninja war, and your elder brother is now trapped in the country of iron, and his life is in danger. Kurabi thought for a while with his head down, and then said, there is no one in the world who can defeat Big Brother, so I don't need to worry about him. It's just the ninja war. Other countries should have also received the news, and they must be rushing to it. There will definitely be many people on the way to the Iron Country. Quote. So what? Hachio asked in confusion. The concert is to be held when there are many people. In this way, I will definitely be famous, and the whole ninja world can remember the voice of Uncle Kurabi. Kurabi said seriously. Idiot, it's wartime, how can you only think about your own concert? Yao roared. No matter how much, I'll rush to the Iron Country to prepare. When people come, it will be bad without tickets and a stage. After finishing speaking, Kurabi went in the direction of the Iron Country. On the other hand, a man with a beheading sword appeared at the main entrance of Konoha village, walking towards the village step by step. 2 patrolling ninjas at the main entrance of Konoha spotted the suspicious man, so they blocked his path. Dazang originally reached an agreement with Obito to use the tailed beast to attack Konoha, but in the middle of it, Lin Xiaoyu appeared and took Obito directly away. No way, my time is about to come, I must finish the task before the end of time, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. Dazang's real name is Zhang Kaiguo. After he came to this world, he also had 2 auxiliary options. First, he allowed himself to be resurrected indefinitely. Second, because he liked the killer setting like Zaifujian, he replaced Zaifujian in this world with himself. And changed its name to Dazang. But now he regrets it. If he knew that it was so rough in the middle, he would just choose to have 9-tailed beasts, so that he could complete the task directly. It was too late to regret it now. Seeing that the 2 Konoha ninjas were holding onto him, Dazo Jungcho could not find a target to vent. He waved his beheading sword and launched an attack on them both. The 2 Konoha Chunin were Gangzitai and Shenyu Izumo. Because Konoha was in an emergency at the moment, they were sent to the front door for reconnaissance. Gangziti and Shenyu Izumo belong to a relatively outstanding partner duo. Gangziti is the main attack, heroic and good at fighting, and Shenyu Izumo is auxiliary, calm and delicate. In the face of Dazang's attack, Zitai used the scroll to summon a hammer as hard as a shell to defend, but because Dazang's attack had no moves at all, it was just a brute force attack, and Zitai was a little afraid to shoot. And behind him, Izumo seized the opportunity and launched ninjutsu, water escape. Tsuji Najutsu. He converted the chakra into water and spit it out from his mouth, walking on the ground like a puddle, and quickly moved towards the direction of Oso spreads, and as long as the opponent's footsteps on the water, the movement will be restricted by the strong stickiness. At the same time, Zitai tacitly injected chakra into his feet so that he could move freely, while Dazang was not so lucky. He stepped on the puddle with his feet, and the two stumbled and fell to the ground without standing still. The whole body is stuck. Zitai and Azumo were stunned at the same time. They didn't expect this person to be so weak. Wasn't he the ninja who attacked Konoha? However, what they don't know now is that the Dazang in front of them is nothing but water, and the real Dazang has sneaked into the village and is standing in the very center of the village. If he is alone, he doesn't know when the entire Konoha village will be destroyed, and maybe he will be sealed by the sealing ninja. So he can only rely on other powers. Fortunately, he still has a white wolf. The villagers of Konoha village looked curiously at the man standing on the street. His whole body was wrapped in bandages and he was carrying a huge knife. He looked like a ninja, but he did not have the forehead guard of Ninja Village on his head. Is it a show business? Under the watchful eyes of the public, Dazang bit his finger, drew a blood contract on the palm of his hand, and slapped his palm to the ground, the art of psychic. Azumo and Ziti were still questioning Oso, who had been silent for a while, when they suddenly heard a roar. They turned their heads and found that a giant beast appeared in the village. It was the white wolf that attacked Konoha that day. At this time, the water body Dazang was also touched, and it turned into a pool of water and spread on the ground. Only then did Azumo and Ziti realize that they had been deceived, and hurriedly returned to the village and rushed to the location of the giant beast, the white wolf. The surrounding crowd began to flee in all directions. People shouted in horror, and children cried in despair. In the chaos, Dazo raised his hands and launched an ninjutsu with a cold face, mist hidden jutsu. Soon, the air it was filled with thick white fog, which began to spread quickly, and the entire Konoha village was shrouded in white fog in a very short time. His vision was blurry, and the only thing he could see was the huge white wolf, which started to attack the village. At this moment, a voice came from behind the big hiding knife. Chinbenyu. It turned out that it was Konoha's special Jonin Shiranui Schwanjian. He ejected the knife in his mouth, and in the process, he cloned out a lot of thousands, and stabbed Dazo's body. Oso, who had no time to dodge, was hit and fell to the ground, motionless. Shiranui Schwanjian is the main person in charge of the security of the village. When he saw a white wolf in the village, he came here immediately, and found Dazo who had just released the hidden mist technique. Chapter 399. The Big Brother Danzo behind Konoha. Then the other ninjas in the village also rushed to the scene of the incident and began to try to seal the giant beast white wolf. The sealing team threw several huge scrolls on the white wolf. The scrolls were unfolded under the control of the ninja and wrapped around the white wolf. When the above runes are all linked together, the white wolf can be successfully sealed. However, things are not that simple. At this time, a white eye suddenly appeared on the surface of the scroll, and then black marks spread on it. Almost instantly, all the seal scrolls burned, and the seal plan was destroyed. It turned out that this was the ability of the white wolf. Its surface could spontaneously combust, and the white flame danced along the hair, burning all the scrolls. Then it attacked the ninjas of the seal class, and huge white flames sprayed out of its mouth, and the fire spread rapidly like a tsunami. Water escape. Great waterfall technique. All the ninjas who were good at water escape jointly launched ninjutsu, and gathered everyone's water escape to form a huge waterfall, blocking the white wolf's flame attack. Not long ago, a backbone of Konoha, Hyuga Neji, Lee Kuro, and Tiantian from the 3rd class, Oil Girl Shino, Inazukaya, Hyuga Hanada from the 8th class, Yamanaka Ino. A total of 10 people, including Haruno Sakura from the 7th class, were sent to the Iron Country to assist the 5 shadows in dealing with the Akatsuki organization, so there are still some Jonin left in the village besides Anbu to deal with this raid. After Jiraiya locked Xiaonan in the Konoha dungeon, he received a notice that someone had invaded Konoha, and then he came here and saw Shiranui Schwanjian moving Dazang on the ground. Is this person the ninja who attacked Konoha? Jiraiya touched the artery in Oso's neck and found that he was dead, and asked, is there anyone else? No, he's the only one, but it's weird, a little too relaxed. Zanjian said with a frown. Perhaps it is mainly due to the power of that psychic beast. Zilai also said, Since he is already dead, let's concentrate on dealing with this white wolf first. Xuanjian nodded, and then the two ran in the direction of the white wolf together. After they were far away, Dazang moved his body and stood up again from the ground, sneered and prepared to leave. At this moment, several Anbu members surrounded him, and behind these Anbu members was the Anbu leader Danzo-sama. Because Dazo is a person from the outside world, his ability is naturally good. Danzo kept his mind, and has been watching him secretly since he entered the village, and he really found that he seems to have the ability to be like an immortal body. You all retreat, go and help others deal with that psychic beast, and leave it to me here. Danzo said to his subordinates. Lord Danzo, are you okay? Asked a member of Anbu. Don't underestimate my old bones. Danzang said, go ahead. Yes, the rest of the Anbu members scattered. This became a one-on-one situation. Dazo originally wanted to find a safe place to hide and watch a good show, but he didn't expect to be blocked by this old guy halfway, although he didn't show any expression on the surface. In fact, Dazo's heart has already begun to get nervous, because he knows that Danzo has a very powerful sealing technique, which uses his own life as a medium to seal all objects around him. If he is sealed, he will die. But at least Dazo still has a bit of luck. That is, Danzo will not sacrifice himself to use the 4-image seal for such a small person as him, which is a bit overkill. After all, his wish is to become Hokage. In the early years during the Ninja World War, Danzo and Sarutobi Hizen, who later became the third-generation Hokage, belonged to the team led by the second-generation Hokage Senju Hashirama. The two regarded each other as competitors and have always been competitors. In a certain battle, their group was chased by the Jinzhou and Yinzhou troops of Union Village. The team members discussed that one of them should be used as a bait to lure the enemy away, so as to protect the other teammates from leaving smoothly. Danzo had the intention of volunteering to be the bait, but he didn't say it at the joint moment because he was timid. At this time, Hizen Sarutobi, who was next to him, came forward and proposed that he be the bait. Later, the second-generation Hokage decided to act as the bait for the future of the village. Before leaving, he praised Sarutobi's behavior and said that if he did not come back alive, then the third-generation Hokage would be Sarutobi's. This matter has always been a knot in Danzang's heart, and he once again lost one step to Danzang, a big step away. Later, after Hiruzen Sarutobi became Hokage, Danzo established his own independent organization, Root, in the name of Anbu Training. The purpose was to support Hizen in secret and help him protect the village. With the belief that everything is for Konoha, Danzo has been secretly carrying out actions that cannot be put on the table, and in this way maintains Konoha's development. For example, he once cooperated with Hanzo Yuyan in Yuyan Village, instigating Hanzo to eradicate the rising organization headed by Yahiko. He also secretly communicated with Orochimaru. He provided Orochimaru with research materials for forbidden techniques, and Orochimaru he provides cell transplantation in the Thousand Hands column and some development on the forbidden technique of blood wheel eye. However, all of this was supported by the elder advisors, such as Mito Menyon and Chuan Kaharu, who had a certain political power in the upper level of Konoha village, and the purpose was also for Konoha's interests. As a representative of the Hawks, Danzo had the idea of competing for Konoha Hokage with Sarutobi Hizen due to the chase he experienced in his early years. When considering the fourth-generation Hokage candidate, he planned to support Orochimaru. Strengthen your rights. However, under the strong will of Sarutobi Hizen, Jiraiya's apprentice Minato Namikaze was finally selected as the fourth Hokage, so Danzo once again failed to win Hizen. After Minato's death, Danzo once again tried to compete for the position of Hokage, but under the doubts of some of the village's high-level advisors, he could not get his wish, and let the retired Sarutobi Hizen once again take up the position of Hokage. Since then, until the fifth generation of Hokage Suna took office, Danzo was also getting old, and he never thought about being a Hokage in the past. As an old man, he only thought about how to protect Konoha village, no matter what. What means to use? Danzo, after this 5-cage meeting is over, you will be able to replace the dead Tsunade to join Hokage. Dazo reminded him not to take action against himself. At this time, he should honestly stay at home and wait for his wish to come true. However, Danzo did not waver in any way. He took off his loose shirt, revealing his right arm that was covered in bandages, and said with a smile, "Really? If I use this old bone as Hokage, don't I want to make others laugh? Losing a big tooth. I think it's better for me to do what an old man should do." Chapter 400. The Duel of Two Immortals. Danzo's remarks made Dazo confused. Why did this old guy's character suddenly change like this? No way, even though Dazo was very reluctant to fight with Danzo, but he saw that Danzo had removed the bandage wrapped around his right arm, revealing the 10 blood round eyes transplanted on it, so he could only bite the bullet and fight. Danzo first started his hand seal and launched a ninjutsu, Wind Escape. Vacuum Jade. He condensed the wind attribute chakra in his mouth, and then fired an air cannon that was as powerful as a bullet, enough to hit Oso's body. Put on. Dazo hurriedly avoided these powerful air cannons, but unfortunately he didn't get enough training in this world like Zhang Yang, so he basically didn't use the fighting technique, and was attacked by the Vacuum Jade on his left arm, but only a little bitterness of flesh and blood is not enough to die. Because Dazo had activated the hidden mist technique before, there was already a lot of white fog around, and the visibility of the line of sight was much lower. At this time, he activated another ninjutsu that was beneficial to him, Silent Killing Technique. On the basis of the fog concealment technique, Dazo can block his own voice and breath, so he is like a man-demon in the vast white fog, and he can't see his trace at all. It's a pity that he ignored the fact that Danzo has a total of 11 blood wheel eyes. Even if he hides himself like this, in Danzo's eyes, he is as conspicuous as a moving chakra. So Danzo continued to attack the obvious chakra of Dazang, Wind Escape. Vacuum Wave. He condensed the chakra in his mouth, and then spit it out to form a straight wind blade, and attacked directly towards Dazang. Cut his body in half. It stands to reason that after the caster dies, his spell should be unlocked. Of course, except for Orochimaru's reincarnation of the dirt, but Danzo commented on the white mist that didn't mean to spread at all, and he recalled that he was used by Genma Shiranui just now. The scene of the sudden resurrection of Dazang, killed by Chinbenyu, made him feel alarmed. Sure enough, Danzo saw with his own eyes that the two halves of Oso, who had just been split into two by himself, gradually disappeared, and a new mass of chakra suddenly appeared, condensing into a single person, clearly the one who had just been killed. Great possession. Is it immortal? Sure enough, I can't underestimate it. Danzo said. Danzo, don't waste your energy, I will be resurrected infinite times, you can't kill me at all. Dazo's voice came from the thick fog. He continued, instead, I can kill you 10 times. Really? Then come out and try to kill me. Danzo said this, while looking around for Dazo's sneak attack. I only heard the sound of water escape, the technique of water body, and there were several chakra shadows that were exactly the same as Dazang's around Danzo, and this amazing number of clones could not be activated without chakra, which shows that Dazang's strength cannot be tolerated. Underestimate. There is no way, plus the interference of the dense fog, even if you can see these chakra figures, you can't tell who is the real body at all. Danzo had to preemptively kill all these clones. Feng Dun. Vacuum Big Jade. He condensed a number of air cannons larger than the Vacuum Jade, and while rotating his body, he attacked all the big treasures. While these Dazos were dodging, they attacked Danzo. In the process, some of them were hit and turned into a puddle of water, while others rushed to Danzo and slashed at him with a beheading knife. Tuanzang dodged left and right, smashed these clones one by one, and when all the clones were cleaned up, his physical strength began to run out. After all, he was already an old man, and he was exhausted after a little movement. Water escape. Water dragon bombing. At this moment, Dazo had used Shenzhen Shunju, Mist Shunchi, to quietly come behind Danzo, and he used the signature water escape of Mist Hidden Village Ninjas. A technique that condenses a large amount of chakra into a water dragon to attack Danzo. Danzang couldn't dodge in time, and the old bones were washed away by the water dragon bullet, and he fell on the ground after spitting out blood. Seeing this, Danzang hurriedly disappeared into the mist again, because he knew the power of those bloody eyes on Danzang's right arm, so he was considered immortal, but he only had to kill 10 times before he died. Then Danzo's body gradually faded until he disappeared, and his figure also appeared in the fog not far away, searching for Danzo's figure again. In the face of Danzo's attack just now, Danzo has at least summed up a few key points. For example, Danzo's clone needs to consume a lot of chakra, and a person will not have such a large amount of chakra. So Danzo should have borrowed the chakra of the psychic beast, the white wolf, in some ways that do not require physical connection, and Danzo's attack method is relatively simple, his fighting technique is very unfamiliar, and the swing of the beheading sword is like a child. Like playing with a knife, that's why he didn't dare to get close. As for Danzo's method of resurrection, Danzo has not yet observed it clearly, but he just thinks that his method of resurrection is very similar to Izanagi's ability of the blood wheel eye on his body. Could it be that Danzang also has a blood wheel eye? Danzo thought so. Just as he was thinking, there were already a few more clones of Danzo unknowingly around. Danzo was about to use ninjutsu to continue to clear them, but the shot was a step slower. Water escape. The technique of multiple water dragon bullets. These clones did not move closer to Danzo, but launched a long-distance ninjutsu attack within a certain attack range, and several dragons turned into water-concentrated attack groups. Hide one person. Danzo had no intention of avoiding at all, because he couldn't dodge, so he could only waste a blood wheel eye again. Danzo, there are still 8 blood wheel eyes left. Danzo's voice came again like a ghost. You know it better than me. Danzo said, it seems that you know the power of the blood wheel eye on my hand very well. Of course, I know everything about this world. Danzo said proudly, the blood eye on your right arm was all taken from the Uchiha clan. The ninjutsu they can use is Izanagi developed by Orochimaru for you. It belongs to the Uchiha clan's ultimate eye jutsu, which can convert the damage of the caster and all unfavorable factors, including death, into illusion. All attacks during this period are ineffective against you. It is an illusion that can freely control illusion and reality. However, this forbidden technique is one time. Every time Izanagi is released, it will cost a blood wheel eye, and because your chakra is not enough. Because of this, the time limit for each use of Izanagi is 60 seconds. So only if you kill you again within 60 seconds after you use Izanath once, it will kill you completely.